All right. I guess we'll just begin. Um, Welcome anybody who's watching. I know Legi brought his peeps from his testing over. Um, this is the 12th podcast for the +1 team +1 peoples. Iron cannot make it because he is trapped in New Zealand still. They've got him.
Australia, isn't he?
Whatever, it's the same thing. Effectively the
Bro.
same.
That's the first thing I learned in while I was over there. That they are definitely not the same thing.
I still have not seen proof of that. That's fine, but he is abroad. We'll say that he's abroad. He'll be back, I think, in a week or so. So after the league starts, which hopefully he plays this one if he feels up to it, and then we'll get his perspective on things as that goes on. But today we have myself, Legi, Manni, and Easy. We have our itinerary on the board loosely, and we're going to talk about some stuff. And if you have any questions you'd like us to ask for the Q&A section, I had a Twitter post that went out. I'll post it again in Twitch right now. If you could just ask your questions there, it's easy to save them that way. So when we get to the end section, we could just roll through those and ask whatever questions we have.
X your questions in.
Excum. So then we had last week, 2 weeks ago. It's been 2 weeks, I guess, since Exilecon 2023 in Auckland, New Zealand. I have the page for it up right now. There's a bunch that happened there. I myself streamed watching the first day, then watched the second day off stream, and there was a lot to digest. It was I imagine, a very different perspective in person versus viewed. So I want to hear, Easy, who was there, what you thought about the whole spiel. So let us know.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, yeah, Exilecon itself, I mean, New Zealand overall is just amazing. But yeah, if we get down to, just Exilecon itself, I mean, it was really really well put together. Getting into that building, kind of like, and then watching the countdown, like, kind of like all in the seats, waiting for that, for like the original, like the 3.22 league unveil and stuff. I mean, it was kind of surreal, right? Because like, you've seen, like, I don't know, just nostalgia of just like seeing them all, watching them from home, and to actually like see it up on like the big screen, right? Like that was pretty surreal. But again, yeah, overall, I mean, it's just a really really cool experience. I mean, just watching a bunch of different streamers over the last 7 or 8 years, with this game, getting to interact with them. Everyone over there was super friendly. That it was really really cool. As far as the actual ExileCon, I wound up focusing pretty hard on the card game. So as far as like any presentations and stuff, if you're so they had this card game, and I don't know what maybe got streamed or what did not, but they had this card game basically where you kind of like battle the devs and like work your way up to Chris, and you can get a mirror. We kind of did like a group mirror farm with like Iron, so me, Iron, and then a couple of our other buddies.
Group found.
Group found mirror
Nice.
farming. We had a group of 5, and we got 5 mirrors. So we
Wow.
just kind of like helped each other out, just traded cards and stuff, and that really pretty much consumed the whole ExileCon for me. But it was cool because you could go up and talk to the devs. If there was like no one waiting in line, you could pick their brain on things, and just that was more or less my whole ExileCon experience. Right up until the end of day 2, right before the race, got to kill Mark.
Oh no!
And got my mirror, and yeah, and then got to watch the Tie 23 race, and the race was amazing too. I mean, I'm sure everyone saw it, but there was a lot of energy kind of like in that room when
It's very
everyone was
close,
watching.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
can
it just
imagine.
like whenever that disconnect Havoc had at the beginning was like you could just feel it and like just like see like just crazy. But yeah, I mean, again, it's that pretty much was the ExileCon experience for me. Again, just like I said, the card game took a lot of focus, but again, just the interaction you got to have with all the people while you're doing it was a lot of fun. So I mean, I missed pretty much all the streams, all the keynotes, except for the initial keynote. So
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
on the other end, I'm kind of curious to hear I keep telling myself I was going to go back and watch them all, but I have yet to do that. So yeah, I'm curious, what you guys saw and like your interpretation of it, and then yeah.
It's well, everyone I've spoken to who has been to Exilecon this time around has told me they had an amazing time. So the experience there seems to be universally very, very good. The experience viewing and maybe the format they chose to show information as a viewer from the live stream was very difficult for me compared to like other conventions, and it has a lot of the same problems that conventions have. Is there's multiple stages, so we don't get to see everything we want maybe at the same time, and there's restreams sometimes, and the way they presented things were a little bit hard to digest, and there was some technical issues. So the actual content aside, the presentation parts were kind of odd for me a little bit. Like the card game you mentioned, which everyone I talked to loved it in person. There's no way for me to interact with that as a viewer or play it or engage with it whatsoever. So when they have a section talking about it and going over to check in your bags you received when you walked in to play the game and all that stuff, and it's like, well, I can't do that because I'm not there. So that part was a little strange, but the stuff they did show, like the reveals, was cool. But there was there's some optimizing to be done probably for the viewable experience versus the in-person experience, which may be a forever thing. What about you, Manni and Legi?
Well, I couldn't watch everything live because it was, very late for EU people. I think it went all the way up to like 7 a.m. sometimes.
Yeah.
So a lot of the talks I watched later anyways. But yeah, keynote presentation, very exciting. A bit of a letdown, honestly, in terms of hype compared to the first one. The first one blew me away and I couldn't sleep. But this one, yeah, some info, but
Yeah,
definitely
that's
wasn't
pretty
that
much
hype.
the same for me. It's like I got really like flustered by the idea of two games, right? And that split between PoE and PoE1, PoE2. It was just very like shocking at face value. So I don't know if it was the same for you guys, but that was like what kind of took over all the feelings when it comes to like all the presentation. But yeah, I would agree. It was kind of a small letdown when it comes to like how much content they've shown.
That's also again a bit of a problem with the viewing experience versus the in-person experience, because it's where it's like, we have a concern. So like they showed the Path 2 gameplay initially, and then obviously there was gold on the floor, and everyone was like, "What's that?" And that didn't get mentioned for like a few hours, right? So it's kind of like puts a little bit of a strange taste in your mouth. Maybe that in person they may have mentioned at a different stage, or you could just ask the devs when you go up and talk to them that same day, what's up with the golds, and that's just like they have access to a higher form of information that we don't have, so we're not privy to that sort of inclusion. So the viewing experience is a little bit stranger because it's like, we're left with what they've presented us, and we really can't, all we could do is digest what they show us. So it's a little bit harder to maybe feel.
On the topic of viewing experience, I thought a lot of the talks were very, very interesting and very good listens. Like the
mechanics ones are like,
yeah, the devs were actually very good at explaining things. Very good talks. Also, what I enjoyed a lot about Exilecon was IRL streams that some streamers did. It was mostly Quinn, I guess. He had like amazing equipment for it, so you could really get inside the Exilecon and actually look around and get like a feel how it feels in there, how it looks in there. I saw the insanely long lines for the card game things, like the crafting station. Must have been fun.
Yeah.
Wish I was there.
Same.
Yeah, those lines for that car. So they finally kind of like streamlined it there at like the very end when they were trying to like right. It's crazy because like they had like one table with like 4 people that were kind of like processing like your crafting and card game, and then I think by the end of day 1, then they had like a second table, so there's like 8 people. But then like by the second day, with like a few hours left, they finally opened up like a whole another 8 people, and then it was really really quick. And I don't know if that was to try to like slow down maybe how many people were gonna like try to get the mirrors or something. We kind of had some like thoughts and discussions on that. I want to say that last time there was only like 56 people that kind of beat the bosses, and then this time there was Mark, Chris, and Jonathan each had like 100 mirrors, and then there was like an extra bag of like 50 mirrors. So all 350 mirrors got found. So more people beat the card game this time than last time by a big margin.
I guess more people played than they expected, huh?
Sure.
I would think so, yeah, because I'm sure they didn't expect to run out, but maybe so. But yeah, I think it was a big hit for sure.
I think they really emphasized about like how scarce the mirrors are, and like you cannot buy it, so people just wanted it really badly.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully they've seemingly put like a lot of time and emphasis on the card game, at least at the convention section. It'd be cool to see if they eventually decide to, if not retail it, make it digital in some form. Because we know Chris has such a fondness for card games. It's got to be something that's on their mind at the very least.
Yeah, I don't quote me to this, but I want to say that someone that I was talking to said like Steel Mage was playing it like maybe a month before Exilecon, so there is like a raw, not GGG release, but like someone has curated
PDFs
some
or
form.
something. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so he was like practicing the game kind of before, so that's how someone I was talking to kind of like got a leg up to understand like how it works. Because I just
all these beta testers getting the edge. Oh my god, can't believe
it. I mean, it was crazy. Like there was people like standing out front. There was apparently this one guy was like standing out front, like trying to like buy everyone's cards, like so he could get in there and just like blast the quickest.
RMT.
Yeah, actually.
They when they were showcasing the initial PoE2 gameplays, there was a couple strange, like anomalous occurrences that were happening that I wish would have been maybe rectified. These could have also been fixed day to which I didn't get a chance to maybe see everything. But when Ziz was first doing his showcase of Path 2, they had the passive tree disabled, which was kind of strange to me. This is such a key point of Path of Exile that I was hoping to see that. And then the subsequent ones with Mathel, and I think it was Preach, also couldn't access the passive trees. Which I wish they would have showcased maybe more of that, or some of the parts that were more important for players to see.
They definitely have a passive trade. They showed us some mechanics about this weapon swap where you have different nodes allocated. So they definitely have some passive tree already made, but it looked like it wasn't really quite ready to be modified. So they had those characters pre-made.
Yeah.
And just locked in the passive tree and disabled it.
Yeah, I think that exactly. I like had a predetermined passive skill. So like when you gained a level, I think when you played the demo,
it auto-allocated?
Auto-allocated, whatever, So there wasn't any
question,
choice.
If that's a system that's going to exist, and then something I think we all would very much like, the same way they had it in Sentinel League with the auto-filling tree. If we had something like that for the normal game, that would be very very desired, just to streamline the process.
Did you get to play the demo, by the way, Is?
I did not. I literally had to we cut it very, very close. I mean, there was like 30 minutes before the race, and then the race was over, and then Exilecon was over. Like right on day 2, whenever Mark did his final interview, right before the race, that's right when we got like our last 2 mirrors we needed for the group. So we literally I never had any time to actually really which is fine. I mean, it was, to me, that wasn't as big of a deal. Like I know a lot of people like, oh, how could you go and not play it? But it's still in beta. It's gonna change a bunch. So yeah, I wound up skipping playing the demo. Everyone that I talked to though said it was extremely hard.
Yeah,
just very hard.
Which definitely was
the later acts.
Was reflected in the gameplay demonstrations. I don't know if it was maybe more daunting of a example of what the game is going to be than they intended to show, but especially watching Preach, who obviously is not as well versed as Mathel or Ziz in Path of Exile, it was like I was like pulling hair out of my head. I don't even have it. Just watching him play when he's fighting the same rare for 15 minutes straight, just to have his instance reset out when he dies, and it's like, man, is this really the true pace of the game? But then they had on the second day some showcases where whatever the prefab characters were much more well or maybe more adequately geared towards our standards, and they had a much simpler time tackling the content. So the actual gameplay demonstrations and the showcases seem to be what would be like the worst case scenario if you're going in almost like in a ruthless setting.
Yeah. I wonder if, like, they definitely did themselves a huge disservice showing that, right? A lot of negative responses to that. But maybe they actually wanted to keep the expectations low for PoE2.
nowhere to
Maybe
go but
that's
up,
a strategic thing. Do you guys think they just messed up, or is that on purpose?
It's so far away at this point, even still. I don't, not that we're not going to remember, but a year and a half, 2 years from now, when the game actually comes out, I'm not going to remember how Ziz's gameplay showcase was on Exilecon. It's like, who knows?
Yeah,
It's
but
it's so
now
far
we
away.
have this like opinion already that PoE2 is going to be hard, And now if we're going to log into PoE2 in a year or two and we're like cruising through an act, it's going to feel pretty good.
I think it's going to be like Ruthless. I don't think it's going to be hard. I just think it's going to be slow, which may not be what you want, but I think no matter what, you're going to be able to outgear and out time it, just like Ruthless now. If you just play enough, you could get good enough gear that it's going to make it feel fine.
It does feel like PoE2 has a bit more skill-based gameplay. Like, one thing that definitely comes to mind is bosses resetting when you die. Like,
That's
completely
a
resetting.
straight Ruthless mechanic, yeah.
And not they're just healing, but they stay in the same phase. But if you die on a boss in PoE2, you have to start completely over, right? You might lose 5 minutes or 10 minutes.
Sure.
And the mechanics themselves seem way more in-depth and deeper for the boss
a lot
fights.
of emphasis on the combo skills and dodge bar being integral to the mechanics.
Kind of like almost Dark Souls-like some of the boss fights, right?
Sure,
Maybe it is
yeah.
because of the underpowered characters, but definitely a bit of a different vibe than PoE1.
It's like Lost Ark meets D4 with the combat system with the dodge bar and the combo things. Dark Souls, I remember who said a quote, I think it may have been in chat, Ender said it to me, but it was something along the lines of, if you're going to make a path play like Dark Souls, I'm going to put as much time as it like Dark Souls, which is about 200 hours, and get frustrated. So hopefully it's not too steep of a curve, and too much emphasis on the full concentration all the time type thing.
Yeah. I see someone in chat saying the boss fights look like a slog, and he's definitely right, but
Yep.
you got to keep in mind they had very underpowered characters to showcase the mechanics of the fight. We will definitely have multiple times the DPS on an actual character. Like, they had like 1 links and basic ass gear and probably a terrible tree on those like Act 3 and Act 4 bosses, so surely it's going to be a bit less of a slog in the actual game.
Yeah, I would say so. I think even Mark mentioned that they intentionally made those characters really, really underpowered, as you are saying. So I'm not expecting that extent of game slowing down compared to PoE1, but I am definitely worried, even though as you're saying that it's really early, it's like years from the release, right? But it is honestly not the best look for the first look after like 5 years of not seeing anything, right? That's
I'm just surprised the acts aren't done even in that part. I assume they would have just had the acts done by now, because at the pace they're currently at, they're doing an act a year. Because it's been 5 years and they have 5 acts done, I think, right, or 4 acts done. So it's like that's a real pace right there. Yeah. Hopefully it picks up a little bit.
A lot of systems completely missing too. If you're undecided how they're going to be implemented. I was blown away when they said there's going to be a beta in 1 year. Like, it looked like it's going to be like 3 years away still.
Mm-hmm.
Also, it's the same. Correct me if I'm wrong, but they said it's the same engine and effectively the same client as the PoE1, right?
Yeah.
So that's what really boggles my mind is, like, it's not that they remade. They didn't start from the ground up. They had the same framework, but still seems to take a extra amount of time. Oh, hopefully it's an extra good product. Talk to you in 5 years. We'll find out.
One thing I wanted to...
Yeah, go for it.
I wanted to ask Ease one thing. How were the reactions on the venue about mostly the keynote presentation? Because I remember a lot of like the online responses were pretty negative, like Twitch chat, Reddit, various Discords. I heard a lot of like very mixed and negative responses to the initial announcement. Or was it live? Was there anything like that?
So it's funny, like, there was a big gasp whenever they wound up like announcing the split between the games or whatever, but like I was still just kind of in la la land. Like, I didn't even, I had to ask my buddy, I was like, what did they just say? And I mean, other than that like short gasp, I mean, it was then everything else it seemed like was just really well received. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, I feel like it's hard to like travel that far and then go into it with like a negative attitude. I mean, again,
Yeah.
it was just
It's a lot of whimsy,
it's like,
a lot of magic in the air.
yep. So yeah, I mean, again, it's kind of one of those things. Like I think it was short of saying, they're going to cut the PoE servers off. I think it'd be at least in person, or at least the people I was around. Like I think it'd be hard to find someone that wasn't having a good time, or I didn't really interact with anyone that said, "Oh man, this is terrible," or anything like that. I mean, it was just the experience of being there more so.
For sure.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, the first impressions when they said it, it was like going through like the 7 stages of grief real quick. It was a bit of a blow because it's a lot of things come into your mind, right? When you hear that we're making now, instead of Path of Exile 1 being Path of Exile 2, it's now 2 separate entire games, right? Totally separate. So my first thoughts are like, oh, okay. So now I got to play 2 games. That's fun. 2 games is better than 1 game, maybe, right? Oh, so can they release 2 games simultaneously? Can they have 2 full service live service games running at once? Is that going to happen? How's that going to affect the release schedule? Then it's like, oh, all those things promised for Path of Exile 1, like the obvious ones are like the redoing of Melee, all that stuff. Oh, that's now all probably not going to happen because that was for Path of Exile 2. Then it's like, oh, they said Path of Exile 2 is not going to have any of the backlog content Path of Exile 1 has. It'll be totally separate. So it's just like so much floods into my mind when I heard that. It took me a few days to like fully process. And even now, we don't really know what it means because from my perspective, just as swift as that decision was made from my viewer experience, who knows how the stance might change a year from now or 2 years from now, or what even is happening, or So it's truly just I still feel like I'm in kind of hold my breath, wait and see until we have like definitive things being released.
Yeah. I would say the same. Like I really reacted emotionally for all the news. Like, what does that mean for just the game that we love? And we had so much promised for the game that we spent so much time in and love playing, right? And it's just it's not happening. It's a new game for that. And what if we don't like the new game? I mean, I'm honestly thinking it's not going to be the case, but it might be. It's just so much uncertainty still, right? After even all the news, right?
I gotta say, some of the talks definitely swayed me to be very, very optimistic. Like the bossing talk with Mark was like, it showcased how much they understand about design in the game. The talk with Frishi was also really good about item design. That definitely gave me a lot more positive vibes.
The one thing I really hope happens, and I'll try to be as positive as possible, which is, we hear a lot of, like, it did feel like there was a really big, from my perspective, a really big disconnect between the teams that were working on Path 1 and Path 2. Like, they kept, like, referring to each other about, oh, we're going to have this for Path 2, but, like, Path 1 has this, or, if Chris gets around to it, we'll do this. I really hope that, like, if one of the games has something, like, objectively positive, whether it's quality of life or a good change, that it's kind of reflected in both games, and I'm really leery that that's going to be the case, because they were talking about, like, now that we're having in Path 2, when your flasks reset, you finish a map, you have to leave your hideout, go to town, go click in a well, interact with the well, go back to your hideout, then enter the next map. Like, to me, that sounds like a terrible loop. So I hope, like, that negative aspect of that doesn't transition into Path of Exile 1, like we don't start kind of reverting a little bit, and I hope we kind of like have things go in the positive direction. But yeah,
there's a lot of these things. I think Chris mentioned this a few times in past like podcasts and discussions and so on, is that they want to change basic things about the game, but they couldn't ever do it in actual PoE, right? Because it would feel like a step backwards, like adding the wells, for example.
Yeah.
But they honestly believe that's a good design thing. So
that's crazy.
In PoE 2, they have a clean slate and they can start there. And maybe they can show us that it's good.
Yeah,
maybe
the well thing, I'm trying to like figure out how that would ever be good. Like that level of like multiple middlemen existed in like Diablo 1, and then it was, we've accepted that was like not needed then 25-30 years ago.
Yeah. It's a punishment for TPing out, I guess, right? That's the point. So you can't just like TP out, insta-fill flasks and so
Well,
on.
it's a punishment forever because once you finish the map, it still has to happen. Unless there was a mechanic where if you killed the boss, all your stuff's got if the map was complete and it somehow put you to full, that would make maybe sense. But
Yeah, that
I
might
mean,
be.
it's
Who
mostly
knows?
because of just fantasy of just keeping out, and then you just have to do it because that's how a character would do it. But mechanically in the game, I think that's completely BS. But that's my opinion on that.
yeah, I'm always afraid of when things are said to be slowed down, that the level of difficulty or the level of time is added in like a thoughtful mechanical way, not kind of a perpetual speed bump way where we're just adding these like little
Yeah.
whatever the opposite of quality of life is, right? Whatever that would be. These things that's like this is just an antiquated extra 2 steps, like the opposite of streamlining. Um, those things are always upsetting to me. This is a problem that actually Diablo 4 had tremendously when it came out, whether you had to click on a dungeon, walk to the dungeon, and within 2 weeks they had it so you could just teleport to the dungeon now. But that's like if they did the opposite, it would have been like madness. This feels like the opposite kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
I think. What do y'all think about like the loss of some orbs in PoE 2? I thought that was pretty interesting.
There's no crafting bench, isn't there, in Path 2 though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no crafting bench, and then like no
Oh.
scours. I think is that.
It
No
could work.
scours, no
I mean,
alts.
Yeah.
Chaos Ops changed, reworked
Yep.
to remove one, add was like a null plus exalt.
Mm-hmm.
Hard to say. It's going to totally depend on how gear is redone. The value, I mean, this is just like kind of ruthless where you have less currency that has maybe artificially higher value because everything's kind of slowed down to that point where you might get a white item crafted up or some degree. So it might feel more like that. It might go more towards the direction of something like Diablo or Last Epic where you get a almost already done item and you just kind of fix up a little bit and then that's the process. So they might put an emphasis on finding things versus crafting things. That could be the direction they're going.
Yeah, we just still don't know what's happening with the gear, right? Because that's the thing, right? The crafting badge doesn't really matter if it's there or not, or maybe there's another mechanic that you can craft on with not the crafting badge, but something else, right?
A vendor.
But a vendor maybe, but we just don't know. I think if we had more information, what the devs trying to do with the gear, then maybe we could have a like more like actual opinion that makes sense. But right now it's unknown. But honestly, I don't mind them removing things that just don't make sense in a new like gear environment, let's say.
Sure. If it's going to be a different game, let's make it feel different,
Yeah,
I mean, you might as well
drastic
leave
changes.
into it. Like, if we're just accepting the fact that, like, all right, boom, Path 2, Path 1, different games. Let's go fucking whole hog. Let's make it totally different. Let's make there better be a character creation screen. I want to see all the things, like, if we're going to really go for it, you may as well go for it.
The way I understand it is that they had tons of good ideas over the years, and some of them couldn't be implemented because this base system in PoE just wouldn't allow for it. It just wouldn't fit, right? And now they got this clean slate to start over and make a system where these new ideas fit in.
Yeah. My biggest concern, and I think this is one that a lot of people share, is that Path of Exile is the best ARPG could be in history, and a lot of that's attributed to its massive backlog of content you have access to. Anyone who comes in the game fresh right now and plays Path 1, you have, years of gameplay to enjoy. Path of Exile 2, not having that, is going to be interesting because I'm curious to all the people who, like us, may be moving at a faster pace. How much game is there going to be on release? There's not 30 leagues to delve into now. So there's going to be a lot less of that backlog to go through. I'm really curious how that's going to feel.
I actually never had a thought about that. Like, and I really never had a doubt that we're gonna have enough content in PoE 2. I think they will remove stuff that makes sense to remove, but they're definitely not gonna be like stuff cut for the sake of cutting it, right?
They already confirmed that they're gonna add most of the old league mechanics in a revamped state into PoE 2. So it's not like the game's gonna start with nothing in the maps. There's still gonna be our beloved league mechanics like Breach and Leech. At least that's what they said for now. Who knows what's gonna happen in a year or two from now?
I wish the characters were named better. That's That was one of my like knee jerk feelings when I saw like warrior and sorcerer. To me, that just sounds like really really basic kind of Diablo 2 names, and I was like, ugh. Can we get like at least the ones that are like thematic towards Path. Like there could have so many cool things in Path lore. They even had that whole interview with Matt with Kitten Cat Noodle talk about the lore stuff, and I just feel like the names like Monk, Warrior, Sorcerer. Could there be any more vanilla, like non-specific towards PoE names? I would love to have seen like better ones.
Dude, I hate the mercenary name. Like, what is this? I
Yeah,
just really dislike it.
Well, it's just been done. That's existed forever.
I mean, they need 3 subclasses for each of them, 3 ascendancy names as well.
Mm-hmm.
At some point, they're running out of names.
I think they're doing 2 ascendancies, or is it, they're doing the full 3. Okay, because they were initially going to do 2, right? I think when it was.
We're going to have
Path.
all of the PoE1 classes and ascendancies, and then additionally, there's going to be a second class with 3 ascendancies for each character we have in PoE1. Like an alternative Shadow, an alternative Witch, and so on. And they're going to have 3 ascendancies as well. It's going to exactly double everything. Well, it's not
Sounds
quite,
like some
because
high
Sign is going to
scope.
leave.
That's a lot of scope.
Yeah, the scope is insane. Like, I don't know how they're going to get this done in the next year. It's crazy to me. There's
Have you heard of Duke
ascendancy
Nukem Forever?
customers.
You ever heard of Duke Nukem Forever? 12 years of development hell. Never
yeah.
came out like a fucking fat turd after 20 years. This is a lot. I mean, I kind of wish they would.
What did they say for Path of Exile 2? Is it 7 acts? Or is it
7, yeah.
7, yeah, okay. So yeah,
They've
I mean
shown
they're
4 so
over
far.
they're over halfway there, so
Oh, so that means 5
But they
more
still have
years?
to figure out an end game and all of the classes and so many other things.
That's kind of one of the stranger parts is, anyone who's ever played Path, I imagine, sorry, let me rephrase this. If you're watching Exilecon, most likely you played Path of Exile, I feel like, right? Because unless you were a stray who tuned in, if you're watching for an extended period of time, you probably have experience with the game. And then you probably know that the act process of Path of Exile comprises maybe 5% of your playtime of Path of Exile, which is always so strange to me that the only thing that we ever get showcased is the acts, which to me is the least important part by far. I understand this. The reason they're doing it could be because they're showing the basics, the fundamentals of the gameplay, and they might have the end game done. But if I were to see now, knowing what I know about Path now, the same representation in Path 1, the basics and fundamental of Path of Exile 1 in the acts in Path 1, I would consider it extremely boring looking compared to what I know the end game is. So it's just like we're saying, it's so perpetually hard to tell because it's such a misrepresentation of what the game actually is to play the acts. It's literally like a baby mode tutorial, effectively.
well, it's like they say, once you make it to Matt's, Chris has your soul, so they don't need to tailor it to us or something, right?
Yeah, well, it's just like, but that's not what the game looks like, though. Look, Path of Exile in maps looks nothing like Path of Exile in Act 1. It's a totally different game. So I'm assuming Path of Exile 2 is going to be the same. But, all I care about is that second part, which is what I'll never get to see until I play Path of Exile 2 when it actually releases. Because
to be fair, with these like showcases, they don't have to win us over, right? The PoE1 player base is going to try PoE2 guaranteed.
Yeah, it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's kind of like why I'm watching the first place. I'm going to buy it no matter what. I'm going to play it no matter what, It's great.
They want to attract,
yeah.
Diablo players and other players.
I think Diablo will do that by it's just existing, though. I mean, any ARPG that exists, eventually you'll be able to tackle the content, and then you'll just migrate to Path. I feel like is the natural avenue there.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, maybe. That's why I kind of am not worried about the end game in PoE2. I just think that they really want to nail down, the first player experience and like how the animations are, how the game is played, right? How the gameplay is, how press buttons and how the characters feel, and then they can scale it to the end game that they know what to do with, right?
For sure.
Yep, I agree.
But we'll see. We'll see about that. It's never know.
We'll never know. We'll never ever know. What did you think of the how Path 2 looked? Just the visuals.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Way better than it looked on my computer.
The rendering is great. Like the 2D art being 3D art.
Yeah.
Just rendered into like a 2D screenshot, right? Or whatever.
Yeah, I love that. when I've first seen the item panel, I just was blown away by item panel. They looked so good, actually,
Yep.
so good.
I'm curious how the game's going to, because we know it's in the same engine, right? So I'm curious how it's going to perform, kind of stress-wise. It's a bit of a gobbler of a game for your computer already, and that's like playing on low settings when you're really blasting maps. So I'm curious what Path 2 is going to look like when you're covered in, clown MTX running around with your new items on, all the new rendering systems.
Yeah, think of all the MPX they have to like port over to. Jesus Christ,
Yeah.
so much work.
So many.
My favorite thing from all of the Path of Exile 2 stuff they showcased was the very visible and prominent boss health bar. That was my favorite part by far.
Yeah.
I like seeing that big old front and center boss health bar. That was very satisfying to me, because that's I love that. And a game that doesn't have that, I immediately get upset about, because I want to see, I don't want to have to be searching for things if it's the most important information. Any other things you want to talk about regarding Path 2?
About the scope, right? There's also multiple new weapon types, like a flail. Is that how you say
Sure,
it? And
yeah. Yep.
a spear. And what else is there? Crossbows. Like, dude, the scope is just insane.
Yeah, and then
I don't know how they're gonna get this done in a year.
Items having built-in skills and all that stuff, and then there's Spirit, the entire other form of aura minion reservation. Yeah.
Yeah, that's just like a gameplay balance kind of thing. Probably not that much work compared to making new acts and everything.
To answer
I
your
think for
question,
me, the
yeah, keep going, Legi.
sorry, go ahead.
No, you.
Okay, so for me, the most exciting thing was the weapon swapping, right? Like the passive tree, like floating points
That's
and
an
weapon
awesome
swapping.
idea.
Yeah, I love that so much, and I think this will really, differentiate one build from another, and what they, want to specialize in. So I'm the most excited about this feature, honestly.
It depends. I gotta feel it. I typically don't like clicking more buttons. If I can automate things, I want to, and this is more button to click.
Well, you don't. So like,
I gotta put
like
weapon swap. That's one more button.
No, it automatically weapon swaps. That's the whole thing. Like, you can be a
Oh, that's right. The
wand-wielding
skill. Yeah,
wizard,
the skill
and then
is
you
out.
click
Yeah.
leap slam, and the clicking leap slam will swap your weapons.
You're right. You're
built
right.
in.
You're right. You're right. You're right. Okay, no
Oh,
buttons are good.
Yeah, actually, that's crazy. Yeah, like what is it? Like the Blightbreak hammer, and just like remember when people used to use that, just like go
Oh,
fast.
he's stroking out. Brightbeak. Brightbeak.
Brightbeak, yep.
Blight. Cassia.
Light bleak.
Cassia,
It's
Blight
been too
Blade.
long.
it's growing.
But it's been
Exile.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Yeah, that's the dual system is interesting. If it is as fluid as initially described, then it's just
It does have a
happening
like
passively.
weapon swap time, like a cast time.
An ICD. Internal cooldown. Who knows?
Oh, it's an actual like a character
Yeah,
stands
actually,
still
like
to
small
swap,
animation.
right?
Yeah.
Animation. Can you get animation locked? I'm curious about. I think they
I've
said
seen Scissoran's showcase, and he got stuck because of it. Like, he was trying to swap or use a skill, and then it had a bit of a delay built in, and he said it felt very clunky because of that.
well, that
There
could
was
be.
a
I wonder if it's scalable.
free character
Like
with no cast.
maybe attacker cast speed scales the swap animation.
I think they did say it's scalable with something, right? So it's going to be faster. You have like more
A new
cast-
stat called swap speed. You gotta get
Maybe.
swap-
Yeah.
Yeah,
that in your light.
Because-
Light radius is back also, right? There was another thing I think that's in Path 2. They had light radius on one of the gear. It was super prominent.
one balance change that blew me away: no life on the skill tree, and your skill tree, like the passive tree, is not going to have any life now. There's just going to be evasion, armor, and energy shield, and so on.
Kind of makes sense if it's appropriately balanced across all enemies, and it was just naturally like kind of plonked into your level scaling. That would make sense if it just curves properly. It's interesting that they want you to invest in different forms of defenses that aren't life. One less avenue for balance, and also in a way, so it may be easier for them.
I mean, the idea, I guess, is to have more individual passive trees because you're not spending like a third of your points on life nodes, right?
Mhm.
Honestly, look at most PoE trees. They look almost exactly the same because they end up popping to the
Yeah.
same life wheels.
Mm-hmm.
You need to like every
Is it-
single life wheel on the right side of the tree if you want to play a build there.
That's exactly why I'm excited about the weapon swap features, and obviously the life nodes removal as well. That's kind of exacerbates that. because the
Yeah.
build's not going to be exactly the same. Because when you look at, let's say, a ranger from one person to another, it's literally the freaking same. It just maybe this guy has a bit more gear, and that's a bit different. But like the three elves look so similar, man. Like they look like
Yeah.
literally the same.
Well, that's the perpetual game design conundrum: is if everyone's doing it, it shouldn't exist, right? It's the same way that they removed like reduced mana for Auras. So you are correct. If everyone's investing in the same 20 to 40 life nodes in a tree, they probably just shouldn't be there in the first place.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Give us like more life per level or something, right? Build it in.
Give us spirit. Give us flails. Give us all the good things. All the new uniques.
Yeah, honestly,
No.
imagine how many new builds there are gonna be when it comes out. Like it's gonna be just months of testing like new archetypes.
You
Like,
think
it's
it's
gonna be-
months? Well, I'll give it a week. A week before the defined best starter is already out. It's hard.
But even if it sucks, I wanted to test everything. Even
you-
if people say crossbows are the terrible build,
Oh,
I'm
we'll
gonna try
test
them out
it, but
anyways.
It's going to be the WoW Classic conundrum where it's like back then it took us years, and then when WoW Classic dropped, it took 4 days for the game to be solved because the spreading of information now is like wildfire. It's so hard to not, just have especially with POB. My God, you'd have the numbers run within 2 days once it's all input. It'd be like over, and then you just know what's best, and then it's like, well, I could play, Spearfield, or I could just play what's best. And we'll see. That's why next week everyone will be bone shattering once again. Because it can't be stopped.
Possibly, yeah.
You can't stop the tide, Manny. The shattering must happen. It's Bone Zone. Bone Zone forever.
Still haven't played it, by the way, at all.
Bone shatter?
I will avoid it. Yes.
You could avoid it. It's fine. Just don't play melee character. Don't play like Marauders. You're fine.
I mean, at the end of the day, you are German and French, so it makes sense.
It's true. Anything else about Path 2 you guys want to talk about?
I mean, there's tons of things that we haven't mentioned, but I mean, it's just too much, right?
I'm trying to keep you on your 2-hour timer. It's already been an hour, sir.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how fast this goes by. We only got 7 hours left.
The thing is, so many things might even just change. Like if, from Exilecon 1 to now, things got completely like 180'd. Like who knows what's going to happen in a year or two from now.
The second after the Exile weekend, I said, and I'll stand by this as a bold guess right now. I think Path of Exile 2 will have a price tag on it of $40. That is my guess. And people
Really?
look at me like I'm crazy, but I don't think that's that crazy, to be honest, because to me that's less of a crazy jump than them just doubling their games and workloads out of left field. So that
The
is my
single
prediction.
skin already costs like $40. I feel like it's a waste of.
They don't have to put
not-
their MTX system away just to have a price tag on it. I'm saying they can get away with it if they wanted to. I would pay $40 in a heartbeat for the game because I'm going to play it no matter what.
I mean, for sure, but
They could
it's gonna
double
destroy the
their team
reputation.
size.
For
I don't
not
think
much
it would.
gain.
I think they have infinite favor. I think at this point in this gamescape, I think they can
they
do
could-
it.
I don't think it's gonna happen. I think you gain more money by not having a price tag. being
Wait and
honest.
see. We'll see in 20 years.
We'll see, but I think you just earn more money by keeping the game free to play.
Begs
And
the
that's
question then:
really-
why is every game? Why do any games have price tags? Then clearly it's working for some people.
Yeah, this is definitely the most expensive free game I've ever played in my life.
They got you by the balls, the Karui balls. All right, should we move on to the new league?
Sure.
Yeah.
3 points. We'll talk about patch notes afterwards. We'll just do our first league impressions. So Trial of the Ancestors. We're visiting the Karui afterlife and then defeating 10 tribes in a series of tournaments. It's happening. The formatting of the league expansion is auto chess, auto battler type vibe. So you assemble your teams with your different people, and then you kind of hit start. And then their goal is they're going to do their automated things. We got to go to the side, blow up their crystal, and hope they don't blow up our crystal, and that's the game. What were your thoughts when you saw this in general? We know we've had other genres, coming into the game like Sanctum or that sort of stuff. So this is a new exterior genre entering Path of Exile. Why not Manny? Manny, you can go. Just because.
Well, it looks very weird. It looks very out of place, but I'm very curious about how it's gonna feel. It looks more like a mini game, right? Like a mini game within PoE kind of thing.
I think they
Very,
said it'll be its own system, correct? Like it's its own
like,
entity. Or
a different zone, like the Rogue Harbor kind of thing, and completely separate from maps and everything. It's not integrated into the game at all. But I mean, I like those kind of leagues. I like extreme things. You know, not just another boring a couple monsters run in a circle or spawn in a circle and we kill them and get a couple chaos orbs.
Yeah.
I like to take some risks with these league mechanics and make them very distinct from the normal game.
And there's
but can't tell if I like it or not. I could hate it. I can't tell at all. I honestly can't tell at all.
Legi?
Might love it or hate it.
Yeah. When I first seen it, it gave me like Betrayal vibes for a second. Like there's like a lot of fiddling with it, and you can optimize it because there's like so many levers. But I'm on the same boat with Manni. It's like kind of weird, and at some point we will, as always, outscale it. So this will be just irrelevant, and if it doesn't give you enough, rewards, it's gonna be terrible.
Blow right past it, baby.
Yep, exactly. But I think for like first week, it kind of gives like the Sanctum vibe in a sense that you can interact with it. Your character doesn't have to be like extremely powerful, and you can still have fun with it if you like the mechanic. If you don't, then...
Are you going to be interacting with it while leveling?
Hell no.
Yeah, I think it's probably going to be a skip for me. Probably for.
Come on, you guys. Gotta play the
probably
game.
Be like a skip for like a few like maybe like a week or something, unless it's like clearly defined. I hate trying to figure stuff out. I want to be spoon fed how to beat it.
You
the
mentioned
quickest,
that
get the uniques,
and that's kind of the perpetual problem with these. Like, it is a higher scope, more involved, really kind of abstract mechanic, and typically, I would say almost always, it's gonna be better to interact with after 2-3 weeks when a couple patches hit. So it just feels like it's probably going to be one of those things where, unless there's like an early bird special day one where something's not happening like it's supposed to and you're getting tabbies dropped every 2 seconds, like that thing can happen. But with these mechanics, almost always, it's much more pleasant to interact with it, especially in a quality of life setting like week 2, week 3, week 4. I hate that. I hate that so much. I just want to, because I want to, go into it. But it's like you start going into it and you're like, yeah, well, nothing's working right. Next week it'll be fixed. It's like, oh, all right, cool, man. Guess I'll just go back to playing vanilla path. Hopefully it's not the case, but
yeah, I don't think I have too much to say maybe on the mechanics as much as the rewards. So I mean, the rewards on it look pretty cool. Like I kind of like how they're bringing back like what the basically a Pursudo trash to treasure, like on one of those things. That
basically bring
cool.
Prophecy back, right?
yeah, exactly.
These omens are basically prophecies in a new
and
form.
we got silver coins.
It is silver coins to access the area, so
yeah, same thing.
Yeah. So the function is the tattoos go on small attribute passives, travel nodes, and grant things. Some of the things they grant are quite significant. Some of them are kind of negligible. 1% RMR is probably pretty good. Maybe. And then there's ones that like have a certain amount of intelligence in there, give you a gem level. And then you have the ones that you consume in the combat areas, the omens. Those give you certain buffs. And then there's the Hinakora lock, the thing that applies. That's the thing we're talking about. Like, one of them is foreseeing the next currency used. That seems wild. That seems like, it almost seems like cheating. I guess that's the whole point. It's supposed to be
it's going to be insane in Trade League.
Yeah, that's going to be... but it's also kind of going to be a bit of a curse for items, because, say you have an item that's 1 Exalt off from... And there's really no way you could craft around it. You check the lock on it and see that it's going to hit, 2 life regen. Well, it's like, well, I guess that item's done now because I don't have to waste my Exalted, but that's where that's going to stay. So in a way, it could be it's removing that. That close your eyes and slam a little bit.
That case, you can use like a Blessed Orb, right? And it's gonna consume the lock, and then you it's gonna re-roll or randomize the outcome of the next Exalt again.
Sure. Yeah, I guess it depends on how common the locks are.
They gotta be crazy rare, I would think.
I hope it's not like
Probably.
Calandra League with the the
ring?
reflection tiles, or well, the ring's one thing. I meant like just reflection tiles, like trying to farm out reflection tiles in general was
Yeah,
like
those were stupid rare too. Now I remember, yeah,
that was
that was
brutal,
stupid.
and it always fucked up.
I think it's gonna be even rarer than reflection tiles. Being
Oh
honest.
boy,
I really think so.
Captain Negative over here.
I am, but like I'm just looking how they balance. They always balance around Trade League, right? And how this gonna get
No,
get consumed by.
used to bounce around Trade League. Now they bounce around Ruthless. Why won't you learn?
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's true. Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be a definitely you're gonna see some more. I mean, it's hard to say how you can. Every league, everyone's always like, "Wow, I'm so impressed with that best item they crafted in Standard after they threw 50 mirrors at it." And it's like, yeah, but if you've played Path more than 2 days, you know that the next league they'll do the same thing with a different item. It'll be just as cracked. Like every time there's a crafting mechanic, somebody will make the best something at the end of each league in some group setting. Like it's gonna keep happening. It's gonna be the same thing with this, where someone's gonna make some perfect, everything item. Probably not a bow because we just left Crucible, but something of that ilk, and it'll be responsible for crafting it.
Definitely.
Yep.
But yeah, coming back to the mechanic itself, when we have those elaborate mechanics, I usually just don't interact with them because, like, usually in the first week, your character is just kind of scuffed. Like, you just want to establish your character to be, just nice to play. And if you have to do like those cumbersome things like waiting for, random NPCs to fight each other, and it's just less fun than just doing the base game, right?
I would honestly disagree. Like leagues like Sanctum, for example, I feel like it was more fun when your character was weak.
Or challenging.
And you could actually fail,
yeah.
and it felt like an actual roguelike. And you're like, how deep can I go this time? Am I gonna make it to floor 2? Can I make it to floor 3? Is it actually gonna be a win if I get really lucky relics here, right? Or boons or whatever?
Yeah,
and it was actually like, it felt like the way it was supposed to be. But when you had your like Mageblood character and you ran through and it felt like running Act 1, it was kind of boring.
Path of Exile, though, constantly allows you the opportunity to accidentally rob yourself of progression, basically, because it's you get to the point where you might not interact with the mechanic at what would be considered the appropriate time to interact with it, and now you're super cracked
you're like overpowered
character,
for it.
and you've robbed yourself of the progression, which again, solo self-found in itself helps with that problem tremendously. It's the same way you wouldn't just bypass natural progression if you're in Trade League. You just buy the thing. It's solo self-found. You have to earn the thing. So why a lot of us we play these game modes is because we're trying to kind of be more in line with the progression that was maybe intended. But Path like this happens so often where, just like he's talking about, like if he's not interacting with this in his neutered form, and then you might be missing the experience that Manni had where he was struggle bussing in Sanctum. Which is good or bad, I don't know, but it does.
That's a very good point, but like there's always a middle ground. Like when your character has like, I don't know, like a 4-link and you don't have flasks properly set up, or your bow is just, or weapon, let's say. Let's not say bow, because I'm in bow brain right now. Sorry.
Bow brain.
It just feels extra awful when you could just do other stuff. It would feel good.
Yeah, I mean, just preference in the end, anyway.
I just want to feel good.
I mean,
the dopamine
right in my vein. Sweet, sweet ancient orbs.
There's like two mechanical or like two design choices about this league that make me kind of optimistic that it's going to be fun. The first thing is, apparently we can just hold as many silver coins as we want, right? We're not forced to run this every 8 maps like Sanctum or something. I could farm 1 million silver coins if I want to, and skip the mechanic for months if I wanted to, right? That's how I understand it, at least. So that's great. Full agency of when to do this. Or you could just sell them or, buy them, and full agency there. Don't have to run it every couple
They have
maps.
a stack size of 30, and I wonder if they'll have a spot in the stash. Probably not.
Surely they're going to stack to 5,000, right?
Well, it says, I'm hovering over them right now. It says 1 out of 30.
The currency cap, I mean.
Oh, well, that's not being added into the game. Let's be honest. Maybe next year.
The second thing I like is you can kind of target farm a specific reward, right? As far as I understand.
Yeah.
There's going to be like 10 different enemy tribes you can fight, and you can see, I saw a screenshot where it would tell you what reward you get from this. Like you can fight these guys for blight oils, and these guys for harbinger rewards, and these guys for currency. Those mechanics, I always like if you can target the loot that you get.
I like
Makes it
seeing
so
the
much more
names.
fun.
There's a lot of these names are names we've seen, like a lot of the dead dudes. We're fighting dead dudes we know, like Rakiata is one of them. That's like the timeless jewel that we use sometimes from the Mariketh one. So it's cool to, or whatever. It's cool to see.
Oh yeah, some lore, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, because we also were fighting. So one of them says loyalty tattoo of Cthulhu. That's the dude from Act 5 and 10. You know, that just kind of gets mangled, and then just we kill it in half a second.
I guess there's going to be a lot of lore related info here, because there's going to be 10 tribes, right? There's going to be a lot of like
Yeah,
people from the story
Hopefully.
that we might not know yet, or maybe we get more info on them.
it'd be cool to see.
That's kind of cool too.
Yeah, they're all like thematic, and I see Callum in the background in one of the pictures, so he's coming back. He's had his ass kicked like 20 times now, but he's back with a vengeance.
Who's back?
Callum, I see Callum's back there.
Okay, okay.
Well, I'm not going to pronounce him like a strange German boy. I'm going to say him like a
Sorry.
like a blue-blooded American. Thank you. He's hanging out in the back. He looks sad. Maybe that's not Callum. I don't know. Just some dude. They all look alike. These Maroon. Maybe that's racist. I don't know. All Croats look alike.
I mean, you're American after all, right?
Roll Tide.
He's a
it's true.
gigantic fucking king. He's not looking like anyone else.
You talking about me still, or
Yeah.
no? Okay, cool.
But I have to say, I really like the aesthetic of this league, like how it looks and like how flavorful it is. It's really good. I'm quite excited to actually
I
interact
can
with it.
actually check out the support. I'll get to the bottom. The supporter packs. What the fuck? Hold on. This can't be right. Supporter packs don't look like the league mechanic. It's bullshit.
Not anymore.
No, they don't. I was hoping they would look like Karui cool stuff. They just look like a dude with a coffin on his back. All right, that's disappointing. Oh, there's a little of Tulu though. Never mind. That's someone dropping down. I've been scammed. I got scammer.
I don't think the supporter packs are not very related to the league mechanic. I think it's just random fun stuff they thought
Well,
of.
I guess the challenge reward might be there, right? Maybe we'll get some.
True.
Which we have not seen yet, I believe, right? We have nothing about that yet. No, I don't think.
Not yet.
Now I'm kind of wondering how much like dialogue and lore there will be in this league. There could be a lot potentially, but I don't know if they bothered, making that, because you guys remember Heist League when they made so many voice lines and in the end half of them didn't even get used, and it cost them a ton of money and everything, and it's kind of wasted.
Oh, they'll be used. They'll be used in Path 2. Just like the Expedition vendors. They're in Path 2.
But maybe Act 5 is all about the Rogue Harbor.
I strongly believe that pretty much every single decision for the past 5 years, every piece of content introduced, some aspect of it will be absorbed in Path 2, and wouldn't have been created without Path 2. Like those exhibition vendors, the second they were being made, I think they were thinking, this is going to be like vendors in Path 2. Like the way that
maybe it was the other way around. Maybe they were vendors in Act 2, and then the PoE1 crew was like, wait, these vendors look cool. Can we borrow them for Act 1 or for PoE1 already?
So it's like so often. We're going on hyper tangents here. So often, myself and many others question a lot of the decisions they make, but it's only because we just don't know what the hell's going on behind the scenes, and they could be making all the right decisions, all the perfect sense, but it's like you look at some things and it's we're trying to put puzzle pieces together when they're all upside down in the dark. So it's like. Could be. We could maybe all this screwy shit is like gonna be like Act 7 in Path 2. Who knows? They have with the 10 tribes comes 10 uniques also, I believe, is what they're saying. So each one of the tribes has an exclusive unique. We've seen 3 of them, which is exciting. Until you read them, then it's less exciting, but that's okay. There's the first one. I'm not sure if you guys have seen it. The Belt Bound Fate. It
Meme.
I didn't even finish. You just yelled meme at me.
Such a sad unique, man.
There was a really good Reddit post today that really encapsulated the problem with this and all other items. There it was. every X second gain Y for Z second modifiers do not feel good. They just feel like weaker permanent modifiers, which is always the case. It's, Path of Exile is a game where we try to consistently control the fate of our character and what the build is and what they do. And a unique like this that lets, like, all the shit is out of our control and is randomized, kind of. It's, like, really impossible to build around, and you wouldn't really bother. Any hope for this thing, or is it just meme trash?
Goes to
I don't
unique
see any
tab
sense
and
using it. Yeah.
becomes forgotten.
Yep, not Mage Blood next.
So Vault Guardian. All right, cool. Not Mage Blood next. Well, that is a perpetual problem that they've created, is that there's some slots that are just dominated by unique still. That it's like,
Honestly,
you try to introduce a belt, it's so hard. Go.
The concept of that belt, I feel like it could have worked if they chose different modifiers there, but you can't rely on like these defensive and damage mods on there. 'Cause, you know what I mean? Like those things, you can't just have them sometimes, like the lucky crit or
Yeah.
If it was something like you have Tailwind sometimes, like that'd be great, right? If I don't have it, my build still works, but if I get it, awesome. Or if it's like,
if it was like,
something like that.
reduce damage from dots and then reduce damage from hits alternating. Like, there's things I could do. That, like,
Some stats need to be reliable, and
yeah.
if they're not reliable, they're trash, and these stats are exactly that.
Yeah. It is also, not really it's a shame, but we were just talking about lore, and I was reading the flavor text of the belt, and it says, knowing what will happen and knowing when it will happen are two very different things, which is, indicative of what the belt is doing, which is kind of a meme in itself. That's just like, it's telling you it could do one thing, but it might do the other thing. It's like, yeah, I don't really want that, though. It's like, I'm good. I wouldn't want to alternate between poison and bleed immunity. I would need both up all the time, thank you.
It's kind of like PoE 2, right? We don't know what it is, and we don't know when it will happen either.
It's true. It could have already happened, and we could all have missed it. It's equally possible.
Well,
Time
when
is
they
a
added
circle.
Ruthless to the game.
It's true. That was Path 2. We'll get to Ruthless. I got a whole fucking essay to go over.
Oh no.
There's
Oh, no.
Let's go over the amulet. So we have, oh god, we try to pronounce these things and they're Karui fucking words. Arahangui's tending. Arahan. Anybody?
Arahongis.
Arahangis. Oh my god, that must be. Is that German? What is that? Is that
I think that G is not pronounced as Arohanui.
Whoa.
Yeah, that
Legi.
sounds much correcter.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm like full messed right now. All right, cool. That's good. Let's do that one. Say it again. Do it again.
No.
Okay.
Something tending.
All right,
Do the
fine.
thing.
PayPal required.
Arahanui.
Arahanui. Poke him with a stick. There you go. Okay, so it's a coral amulet, which is kind of sad out the gate, because there's just better amulets. A negligible amount of mana regen, flask, and life recovery. The whole thing is it makes all your life and mana flask panic flasks, which typically I'm never running a life or mana flask anyway. But maybe this is going to enable some loopy thing, maybe. But it's hard because you can't automate life and mana flasks. So I'm not sure what this is even doing.
This seems so underpowered. I don't.
Low level trash. No
gotta be sorry.
requirement.
Yeah, low level unique, but for low level, if you find that in like Act 2, that's amazing, honestly.
Yeah, it goes in your stash. You can forget about it. You can keep walking around without a flask on.
Well, it's not an endgame unique, right? Not all the uniques have to be like endgame uniques. So I think like if this doesn't have any level requirement, like when you find it like while leveling,
It shouldn't,
cool.
because
Well, you find it from the mechanic.
Well, that is the problem. Yes, these are all from.
Oh, right. Oh, right.
So you're never gonna accidentally find it. Yeah. Well, it lived a good life. It'll go into the stash now. Yeah, I don't know. It's trash. Uniques are trash, unfortunately. We'll get to something about that later. The next one, I'd like to say is good, but the hoops you have to jump through to make it good, I think, are just don't make sense personally. So, Katava's Hunger, which is interesting that there was a Katava named unique amongst the Karui, but Katava was a Karui, I believe, who just kept eating shit, and then eventually they locked him up. The flavor text being, the world will end in a divine stomach once Katava has eaten all that lives. Very cool flavor text, very cool item. Everyone loves Katava. Cool dude, right? The item is a majestic plate. It's got armor, life on kill. Those are things that we like. Stun and block recovery, whatever. And then it has what I assume is going to probably be at the top end of 1,000 flat life. Just a little small detail. There can't be life modifiers on other equipped items, which is like so tricky to do, I feel like, because so many things have a life tag. Because a life modifier just means you hold Alt. It says life, even if it's like not really life related. That counts.
It's not that hard.
You think it's not that hard? I don't know. I think this is like still
Just
kind of
don't
mediocre.
have life in life region. What else can you get?
There's a lot of stuff. There's more than you think. 'Cause it was I think that scales. I mean, there's like a lot of stuff. I can look at different uniques, but their life tag is
life
on more.
regen rate.
What else has
I
a
don't
life?
know.
Life
Life
leech,
recovery.
Right now,
life
there's no
recovery,
ones.
leech, recoup has a life tag. A lot of things have life tags.
But I think you don't need those really on the main pieces, right? So I think it's honestly okay. I really like this unique, honestly.
I could see a
think
scenario
this
where
might
you're
be
like,
playable.
could be, depends on. I guess it's even if this is like the mid roll, I imagine it goes to 1,000 just by seeing 858. It feels like it's going to go from like 500 to 1,000, but it is it's also like kind of low level, being 53. Maybe there's some hope that it's common. If it has art though, it looks so fucking cool. So I hope it has art.
Yeah, it does look cool. But like when you look at it, right? So how much budget do you have on other pieces when it comes to life? So you have 100 life on, let's say 100 life on helmet, gloves, boots, and on like rings you get like another 100. So that's like 400 or 500 at most, and
Yep.
you get like 400 on this, right?
Yep.
So that's like a lot of life, flat life straight away, right?
Yep.
And then you free up a lot of prefixes on the item, so you can like go for big armor prefixes on all the gear that doesn't have to
Or
have
you
life,
just
right?
log into uniques. You run your rampage uniques and everything.
Or that, yeah.
Mhm.
So
And
I
there's
think
no
that
downside
item
to
is
them
very strong.
anymore.
Just double checking here. What type of things have life tags? Just checking random uniques right now. Max life is a life tag, obviously.
Oh yeah, a
Um,
couple uniques you might not be able to use. I thought of rare items, and I felt like it was easy to make rares.
No,
about
I'm
it.
thinking of. In my
Like-
mind, I went to uniques first because it's like those are going to be the
Okay.
ones that are having.
Yeah, there could definitely be some uniques that surprisingly have some 10 life region or something on them.
Yeah, you cannot use Count Spirit. That's
No
unfortunate.
headhunter.
True.
Headhunters has a life implicit. Has life on it also. Yeah, I think there's probably a decent amount of uniques that will have life, to be honest, in some way, shape, or form. That might be a
Yeah,
little
that's
bit
pretty
annoying.
true.
Even there's gonna be some weird ones. I mean, leech is not that much leech, but leech would mess it up as well. At least
Fun
it
part
doesn't.
about this item.
Yeah, keep going.
I just like the fact that it's a chess piece, unique chess piece that we can consider it's usable. That's
Sure.
it's already like a big win in my book.
Yep.
Yep.
Well, yeah, we have a really, really good one though. As of last league, what is it called? Oh, I'm drawing a blank now. What's the one that has
Fourth
the
vow.
fourth foul?
Or
There we go.
wow.
Do I have one here? Yeah, fourth foul is super, super good. That has a
Surprisingly
life
not nerfed.
modifier. It's got a life modifier. You can't use it with the chest
Mm.
legally. It got
Right.
nerfed. You said. You said it hasn't been nerfed.
It didn't get nerfed, yeah, surprisingly.
No. It's quite strong. Yeah, unique bodies are. There's a lot of them, and there's not a lot of them are super great. Except for the rat cage. That one's.
I feel like it's gonna be fun to build around it, because then suddenly you're crafting items in like rare items in all kind of slots that don't have life, and therefore they're gonna look very different than like what you normally craft, right?
And in
That's
a weird
kinda cool.
way, it enables. There's a really nice opportunity there to also reallocate what would be almost near mandatory life roll into more damage or maybe more defensive.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
Taking on the
Yeah,
positive
exactly.
side. Yeah.
gonna craft items that you never crafted before, which you're gonna have to think about, like how do I approach
death
this? Do
rush.
prefixes first, suffix first, awaken
Can't
orb,
use,
whatever,
can't use
right?
Death Rush, can't use Ming's Heart. Both,
True,
both
true.
those rings are gone. Sad. Yeah. It's a cool one though. This is what we got
Interesting.
so far. But yeah.
Definitely not trash like the other ones.
No, it's definitely not trash, but I think it's going to have. We're not probably thinking of all the restrictions, and there's probably a lot more than we're thinking of right now. Even like both those rings are Death Rush is like a really prominent unique. I feel like, especially for when blasting maps, that one's or Calm's gloves. Those are kind of bummers, but this thing might be unconscionably rare. So who knows? May never see it. May never see it. Just like my Sanctum staff. And speaking of, Sanctum
Yeah.
is back.
Yeah,
Hey.
yeah. Best of luck to you and Sir Legi.
Thank you. I don't want to do Sanctum anymore, but I'll. There's a.
I mean,
Yeah, we're gonna. I'm still gonna do it. I just don't want to. I'm still gonna do it. Though.
don't you wanna do Sanctum with new rare?
Yeah, so that's what
monsters
I
with
was gonna say. This is
cycling
my
introductions?
biggest gripe is where is it? I just felt Sanctum so fucking wrong. Oh, I can just click on these. I mean, I think we all saw it, but there's that one really annoying part where I don't know where the fuck it is, but you can't clear Sanctum without clearing all the mobs out of it now. That one is very upsetting to me.
I mean, that's normal, to be honest. Honestly, like that's what was before. Like you had to kill all the monsters there, but they just
what
if they
No, you
have
didn't.
the mods. No, you still had to kill all the
No.
unique monsters. Yes.
No, I'm saying the rooms where you just blew through them and jumped to the exit.
I mean, I guess.
That was
I
like
mean, we're gonna have those rooms as well, but like in the rooms that you had to kill stuff, you still had to kill stuff, right?
yeah, but all the rooms now that had any room that had guards in it, and you would just blow through the exit, you have to clear the room now.
Sounds
So
like they
maybe
removed those rooms where you just speedrun in 2 seconds. It makes sense, right? That those rooms were so dumb.
But that was like
Maybe you're right, yeah.
that was like probably half your time in Sanctum. So if that's not the case anymore, you now have to spend double the time going through Sanctum.
Well, that's even worse than I expected. Then
I could be misinterpreting it, but that's and also there's a lot of like I'm hopping to patch notes here briefly, but there's a lot of kind of open-ended bullshit that I have no idea what it means. Like they removed the knockback thing. That's a good change. I hated that for the ball. That was really annoying, right? Then they had this one line that just says, "We've also added more hazards and room variety," which could really just be anything. More hazards.
More traps.
Like, who knows what that is? It more of the same traps? Is it whatever? I kind of like these open-ended patch notes are always very frustrating because it's like this is the time where I'm supposed to be able to see things, to a degree. And it says like relics have been reviewed and rebalanced. Like to what degree? In what way? We'll just have to wait and see. So who knows as far as how accessible and how easy Sanctum will be, but it is back.
I'm happy it's back, but we'll see how difficult it will be, right?
Definitely sounds like it's going to be challenging a lot longer. Like,
Yeah.
you need a stronger character to trivialize it.
As long as I could bank them, I don't care. That's all I want. I just want to be able to not have to run them when they want me to run them. So this is why we're talking about you talk about saving your silver coins. Like, I love that. I want to run content when I want to run content. Like, let me just bank it forever.
Yeah, it's going to be great. Imagine having so many that you can log in today, and
Ooh,
for
Sanctum
hours
Day.
you can
Yeah.
paint Sanctum. Right, it's going to be great.
And we all see each other doing that all the time throughout the league, where it's like, I'll check like the Twitch team channel. I'll be like, oh, Manny's doing Expedition Day or something like that.
Yeah.
Like we all have as solo self-run players, that is a prerequisite to getting past the end game. Is like you've got your dedicated. Really, it's just weeks most times where it's like, yep, all right, we're doing Omni Week now. Time to sit at a Exarch. So it'll be cool to see like Sanctum Week. And if we do get the staff or get a, did they say if Original Sins back in or no? That's just gone.
It
gone.
is.
It
I
is
think
back in.
Yeah. Yeah. They said they're going to be the unique relic for it. Will be there.
Okay. What was it called again? Was it Original Sin?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's not in the pet. I spelled the original wrong.
I really wonder how many of these silver coins we're going to get. Because it could be pretty rare, honestly. Because every time... Oh, sorry, not silver coin. It's wrong. But the...
Sanctum Vault Research?
Sanctum book. Yeah, whatever, right? Well, how was it called? Sanctum...
Forbidden Tome.
Tome. Every tome you find is like an entire run, right?
I think it's a
32
floor.
maps.
I think it's a floor, right? Not a whole run, isn't it?
At the end of the
Forbidden
floor, it
Tome is a
generates a
run,
new
yeah.
item.
Yeah, it's a run. So a Tom is an entire run.
Oh,
You just
32
generate
then.
new floors.
Ooh.
It must be pretty rare then, right? Because during the league, it was 32 maps to get a Sanctum. And since it's
Sure.
not Sanctum League anymore, it's going to be more than that now, right?
Yeah,
It's gonna be
typically
less
it's
common.
if you're going off the 10% spawn rate post league, it's gonna be 1 in 320 maps on average to find a tome.
Hopefully not that bad, but yeah, it's going to be...
That's kind of like
Kinda
how
rare.
it typically is if it's for scaling it appropriately. I mean, yeah, who knows? What if you could only have one at a time? There's some the mysteries of the Sanctum.
I wouldn't be surprised one of
Gaze.
these tomes is worth multiple divines even. Or at least
Sure.
one
It's
divine.
it's gotta be. I think
Yeah.
the average Sanctum is worth at least 2 divines, probably, right?
Yeah, it'll be sextants are going to be probably a lot cheaper for trade league players versus like last league.
Yeah.
Like sextants are pretty scarce last league versus this league.
Sanctum. As much as I dislike Sanctum, it shat out currency like nothing else. You know, Sextants was wild.
So, just kind of like slightly backtrack on to the uniques though. So what? So we got 3 uniques identified. We think that there's 10.
So
probably uniques from there.
It says
And
each of the 10 Koori tribes guard exclusive unique that embodies the essence of their tribe. So each tribe will have one.
Okay, and then we have, I think probably something that all 4 of us are probably going to be pretty jazzed about is the Val side areas re-rolling. Maybe re-rolling those for the splinters, and I think they said that there was 3 uniques in Val side areas specifically.
There's 3 unique areas, kind of like unique
3
maps.
unique areas.
Yeah, so
gotcha. That makes
there's
sense.
3 unique Val side areas, but they're not uniques themselves. But to your point, though, the Trial Master fragments is the thing that all of us, I think, our interest was sparked for to a degree.
Manny was pumped. I remember what he said. But yeah, that's gonna be huge. Good. Yeah, hopefully it's equal weighting. Like, it'd be nice if they were like 25% each. And I don't know if y'all have turned in a lot of the sets for whichever div card that they brought back.
Weighted. Terribly weighted.
It's terribly weighted. And so yeah, I hope it's more evenly distributed in the Val side areas for getting these, the Delve fragment, which seems to probably be the most bottleneck.
I have the biggest problem with the incursion fragment by far for me. That is my issue always.
It's a pain to get, yeah.
I have terrible rates. I'm like, right now I'm at 1 in 30 on my fragments. It's like, I don't know, I'm sure I'm in a slump, but it's like, it just feels like shit having to run
incursion 1 in 10.
over again.
But yeah.
I will see that when hell freezes over. I'm getting railed by incursion. The Delve one, I have like 10 of those in my stash. I have incursion one I can't get for the life of me.
It is going to be weird, like bringing like a stack of like, I don't know, 100, 200 alts into, every map now to roll.
That's
for
the question.
That mod.
Yeah, if there is just a named mod, or if we have to like, somehow get into it or whatever. Like, I'm not sure how to hit it.
It's just going to be a mod. We've seen it. It's just a mod that says the vessel will drop the wild vessel will drop an additional ultimatum fragment. That's it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much.
Yep, and there's like a note on the map device or on the Atlas tree that says Val side areas are not corrupted, right, or something. So you just take that and you can roll them.
It's gonna be like the old days of rolling singularity on strong boxes to try to get uniques. The dark times.
I've spent a lot of strong boxes for contains Winged Scarab plus League. A couple thousand alts. That was fun too.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna be doing that, spamming alts. We'll see how how rare the mod is, right? So
yeah.
Probably not gonna submit myself to that.
I mean, in the preview, in the teaser, they've clicked the Chaos Orb and they rolled it back to back.
Back
so
to back.
100% chance.
Okay.
Yep.
Yep.
Guaranteed. Chris Wilson approved. Chris
Wilson approved. Manny confirmed.
True.
Good enough for me.
That'll do. Yeah. That'll be nice if I have more accessibility. I mean, I would definitely invest in that if that was the case.
The thing is, we can farm those while just mapping, right? It's just like a passive point or something to have the full Val area package, and then you can do whatever you want. You don't have to focus on Delve for your fragments and Alva anymore.
Where's your full package?
Wow. It's right here.
Oh, no. Speaking of full package, customize your endgame. New Atlas Keystones.
Very good
segue. Yeah, thank
transition.
You. I'm a professional, big package gamer. There's 16 Atlas Keystones. This is probably, we'll get to whether there's not mass amounts of balance change this patch. There's probably not too much as far as starters and maybe mid or even end game builds. Post a lot of the nerfs and not a lot of buffs, but this game is about mapping for the most part, and the Atlas Keystones are an integral part of that. So having 16 Keystones could greatly augment our mapping experience. We know about 6 of them so far. Some of them are kind of
all of them.
Do we?
They're in the patch notes, yep. All 16 of them.
Am I blind? Am I a blind
Very
man?
top of the patch notes, there is a new content.
What new content and features?
Yeah, you have to look for the patch notes for P.O Exile, not P.O Exile Ruthless, Lighty.
What? Oh, there it is. Sorry, I see it now. I had it from the wrong page. Yeah, I found it. No thanks to Manny. So with all the keystones, there is a lot of funny ones. My favorite one was the expedition one, which is the big boom, one big boom instead
The
of
big bait, you mean?
yeah.
Sounds fun.
I don't know if it'll be good, but the big boom. Any of the keystones you guys particularly excited for?
Me, that one exactly.
big
I
boom?
think, yeah. I mean, once your character's again in the trivial state of mapping and stuff, I think that's gonna be great.
Big time saver. Yeah.
Yeah. Anything to optimize time, right? So, yeah, that one, and then the Val side area. Those are my two I'm most keen on.
There's a lot of
For me,
fun ones.
it's
Yeah.
the you can always have all the map crafting devices on Kirak or all the options. Like the downside is really small, so in every league we're gonna have all the options, which is amazing. So always Essence, always your Harbinger, always Heist if you are enjoyer of Heist. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
It-
But also, surprisingly, to a lot of people's surprise, I would say, I love the Ritual Keystone, the one that gives you 100% more tribute.
What?
I really think it's really good because like usually you just want to blast the rituals, and even in bad maps you're gonna have like 10k tribute or so.
yeah.
So
It's an interesting one.
you
They
can just
can't
buy
reroll,
one
right?
window.
What do
You
you
can't
buy?
reroll now.
No.
But the thing is, like,
Buy it all.
how
That's
tribute-
it. You buy it all.
Yeah, exactly. Why roll first of all, and second
Why
of all,
roll? What's the point?
if you have more tribute generated, like if you generate, let's say, 20k tribute, you're just gonna get good rewards on the first window altogether.
Wait, is that how
So,
it works?
I think
More
so.
tribute?
Yeah.
But the
Small
rewards
brain
are
Manny doesn't
determined
wanna
when you
roll.
start the ritual. Because you
I
only
really
see
think
some of them after 1 or 2 rituals, right?
I don't think so. I think it's like predetermined, like how much ritual can the map generate, and like you
But what if
roll
you
the
die
items
halfway
depending on that.
Oh, he doesn't die.
Maybe I'm coping extremely hard right
He's
now.
huffed.
Wait,
He's
so
big
you're
huffed.
Mega
saying-
cope.
You're saying the keystone that doubles our tribute is going to give us better items in the screen. I don't believe
On
that.
average, I would say so. I think so.
I think he's
Unless,
right that the top end of your ritual money dictates a wider range of money equals a wider range of top end of potential items. I think
Yeah,
is
that's
how
what
it works.
I mean.
I mean, like the high, if you can go upwards of 20,000 ritual monies, then it is more likely to have something show up that can cost that much. Is how I believe it operates.
Yeah, that's well put, Larry.
I'm so good. I'm just
Thank you.
the best.
I think
Big
that's
brain.
just because getting those big numbers we did with vessels, and the vessels made the rewards better.
I think Manny has a tiny brain and doesn't want to roll. He just wants to sit there with his little ritual tokens, all 6 of them. We're 20k tribute gamers over here. All right.
No, I'm not doing any ritual.
Wow, he admits
Don't
it. He
slander
can't
my
even
name.
ritual.
All right. If it works like I think it works, it's amazing. If it doesn't, then fuck ritual,
Yeah.
block it.
And if it doesn't work, if it works, you're not allowed to do it, Manny. Because you shit talked it. You're not allowed to. You're out of the room.
Oh,
That's it.
no, I can't do ritual.
Nope, too
No, you
bad.
So
cannot.
sad.
Nope.
You're gonna be stuck doing the harvest one that ramps up the tiers of plants.
That's honestly, I think that's fun.
That's my favorite
Yeah,
one.
I really think
It's less
I
boring.
love this one. So
I think this is super good for SSF because it lets you hypothetically maybe target farm, like if you wanted the bear belt, right? And then if you had 4 different tier plants of the colors that spawned, and if you clicked like blue first then yellow, then you had 2 purples. The 4th purple should always be tier 4, is how I'm interpreting it. That
It's
could
only
be
a
wrong.
chance to upgrade, right?
Yeah, but it just seems like it's more likely to get a boss of a specific color that if you kind of rotate it that way.
that is correct. Yes.
I'm not sure if it helps for the boss as much, because half the time you're only going to have 3 harvests, right? So
Sure.
you only
But
have a 50% chance to get a 4th one, and you would need the 4th one to get a tier 4.
If
Seed,
if
because
it
you have to
works
upgrade
that
3
way,
times.
maybe.
Also, there is a 10% chance for the crops
Well,
to not
no,
wit, so
you're wrong.
Also,
Because-
right?
You're wrong. I'll tell you why. Because it says that the harvesting the crops has a chance to upgrade the different tiers of the plants, right? So if there was already a tier 3 on the purple when you did the first yellow, then it procs that chance to go to 4. It doesn't have to be the last in the chain.
Why would I be a T3 already? They all start at 1. Are you saying they can
Oh
upgrade
fuck, you're
multiple
right.
times?
No, you're right. I'm. It's
Uh,
me. Yeah, maybe no. I'm back to being right. You're right. I'm right. Yes, they can. Of course, they can upgrade multiple times. If the first one procs, it can go because they can only contain tier 1s. But the first plants you proc, it can go from 1 to 2, and then 2 to 4 still. So it could do it up to 4,
Do you
right?
think they can skip a level?
Possibly.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
How good this keystone is just depends on the numbers that they didn't give us for some reason. We
I
just
need
gonna have to
Legi
test it.
need Legi to pass me his hopium container. I gotta get a good huff in.
I think the most interesting
puff.
keystone that I'm looking forward to testing,
say-
or at
don't
least
say the
see
rarity
tests
one.
done,
Don't say the
it's
rarity,
the rarity one.
Son of a bitch.
I want to
Is
see
the
the
rarity one.
1000 rarity map. I want to see the 4-digit rarity when I click tab in the top right corner. There should be 1000 plus rarity, and
I don't think it's good at all. Like
gonna be good.
it's either going to be bar none the mandatory requirement for MFing, or it'll be unusable because like you're going to get all 6 of the items that drop will turn to rares, and then that'll be it. Like I don't know. It seems kind of shit. Rarity has historically always been garbage compared to quantity.
obviously it's only for unique hunting, right?
Correct.
And then rarity is the god tier stat.
Yeah.
So the question is a map with 200 quant, 100 rarity better, or would we rather have 700 rarity, no quant? I don't know the answer. We'll have to test it because the formula isn't that easy. It's
No.
not linear, right? It's like there's like diminishing returns and there's some special formula behind it that we don't know. So we're just gonna have to wait until smart people do testing where they loot like every single item in 100 maps and compare it and tell us what's better.
I'll talk to Slippery Jim. I'll tell him to just turn on his autism helmet and start going. Just go far.
As much as I respect Jim's autism, I don't think he's gonna be a very good person to test that thing.
That's true. It probably wouldn't even be tested in maps. You probably would test it in like the act somewhere where it's like a default zone or something. I don't know.
Yeah, with Atlas Lighty.
Yeah.
With Atlas.
Don't worry about it. It's fine.
It's fine.
I'm short circuiting.
I mean, that's what you get for mentioning Jim.
It's true. It's seeped into. I'm catching it. I'm catching
Yep.
whatever he's got. What other ones are particularly good? The Maven summoning bosses. I mean, there's some fun
Oh yeah,
ones.
the Maven. Oh yeah, I was
Yeah.
gonna mention that one actually. That one I think is very, 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 very strong.
I'm curious
'Cause-
if this is going to influence. This could be totally bullshit, but the fact that the Maven is summoning the bosses, could that artificially increase the rate of getting awakened gems in maps?
I
don't know about
think
that.
so.
Because they're
I don't know.
Maven summon bosses. Right now, it's like a 1 in 200 to get an awakened gem off a map. If we're summoning an extra 1 to 3 bosses, then it becomes on average 1 in 75 or 1 in 50 to get an awakened gem off of a map. That's like a much better rate than 1 in 200.
I'm not sure if the awaken drop drops from the witness boss or from like any final map boss. We don't know how the mechanics work there, right? In general,
mean-
this keystone is not really obvious how it works. I think it's just not obvious from the wording. We're gonna have to test it. There's some things like the Conqueror maps that drop from the final boss, right? When you complete a map, would that apply? The built-in chance for that? I would say no, but I'm not sure.
I don't know. The fact that the Maven summoning them makes me think it maybe they're witnessed, but I don't know. Like unofficially witnessed.
I really hope so. I really hope so. It's the case that we can, just do a boss and have like 3 different bosses witness, and you can do 10 ways more effectively.
Sure, yeah, you can. 10-way farming would be a lot fun. More fun.
Wait,
It's so
there's
bad.
no way
too,
they're going to
though.
be witnessed.
Why not?
I think he's going to spawn 3 extra bosses and you get 4 witnesses. You're going to have a 10-way and 3
We've
maps.
just
then.
come off of the second league in a row now that we're down 75% on our splinter production. This would bring it up like 20% more, which is still half of what it was 2 leagues ago.
Hold on. It will buff the splinters in SSF, but not because of that. But we're going to find Guardian maps, right? This is Atlas passive 3% chance that the final map boss drops an Elder Guardian or Shaper Guardian. You know that node at the very top?
Mm-hmm.
That one will be affected by those other bosses 100%, right? Judging from the wording, because it says final map boss.
Sure.
Looking at this keystone, that will definitely work. So we'll have an additional
True.
3 to 9 chance for
If the
each
modifiers
Guardian.
to the final map boss affect the summoned bosses, is being witnessed a modifier?
No, I would say no.
All right, that's it. Tell the kids it's official.
But it's gonna be great for Cortex. That's why I'm looking forward to it, because I'm still missing that Cortex jewel. And there's an Atlas passive for final map boss drops a synthesis map. That will work for this 100%. So we're gonna have, on average, triple the speed of farming Cortexes.
It's actually
on
more than that
2 bosses.
because the bestiary thing also. So the
Yep.
bestiary one that used to give Val Temple now gives a synth map.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see that.
Well,
For
you
all
read
of
the patch
those
notes.
Einhard memories I got last league.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of those. Those big boys.
That's interesting.
All possible league map crafting options are available while 6 gateways are allocated. Do you like that one?
That was Legi's pick.
Yeah,
Do
it
you
was
not
mine.
listen?
He's never listening, man.
I thought your one was the Fortune Favors the Brave one.
That one's like
Oh.
okay at best, honestly. Especially with the shaping the whatever gone, so you don't get the bug size, etc. Right? So I think that one's kind of
That's fair enough.
whatever.
What do you guys think of the new support gems? And I guess in a way, the Vengeance Cascade was taken outside and shot in the back of the head, right? And then they made it a support gem.
Yeah.
And they slapped on a lovely 70% negative damage multiplier to it. Cool beans.
Good, very good.
Mm-hmm. It was a necessary change, obviously.
It's funny how that support is still usable, right? It shows how OP Vengeance Cascade was.
Yeah.
Because now it's a support gem, it's a -1 gem and 70% less damage, and it's still worth using. It's crazy that it wasn't annoyed before.
Well, it's the in Path you can get 1,000% more damage than you'll ever need, but to change the mechanics of how things operate is still, quite a unique thing. So it's like, it's definitely still good. I'm not sure if you probably just slap a Nimbus on still. I'm not sure if I'd run it for some things. I guess the same things you're running it for before you sold run for, but it's cool. There's some cool ones. What other support gems you guys like? Any of the ones specifically?
The Ignite one, I forgot the name actually. But it makes
Sadism.
Ignites go faster. Is that Sadism?
I
Yeah.
think so.
Like it's with the Affliction's older brother. Makes Ignites deal damage faster but less duration.
Yeah.
So, builds that can ignite, then reapply the Ignites fast enough, or builds that use Defiled Forces, I think it's called, where you reapply the Ignite every time you curse, and you just drop down your brand with curses, and you spam curses. Sounds very strong. Like, I think that's going to be a pick for all of these Ignite builds.
I like the Locust Mine. That seems really cool. The Locust Mine. That does the
I'm
big
interested on the
spray.
numbers on that.
Well, that's
Like,
all
what does it do
the
exactly?
shit, to be honest. I kind of hate that they release gem. You get patch notes, but we don't get gem numbers like at the same time. Because a lot of these things are like, could be good. See the numbers, find out.
Yeah.
We'll get
Same
later,
for the
probably, right?
Spellblade. There's just Battle Mage and a gem, but what are the numbers on? Is it better than Battle Mage? Worse?
Yeah, exactly
Same.
what I wanted to say. That my favorite one. I think the Spellblade one could be a game changer. It's like I think one of the support gems that can actually make builds really cool. It can be a Gavel Mage on a witch.
Yep. Yeah, the trauma one's also pretty cool. The Bone Shatter shit. That could be interesting for certain like fast attacking builds. Some of the armor stacking smite builds I could see using trauma. That is the Guardian's Blessing for the little extra aura cheese you could do. Some interesting ones. Easy? Any ones you like particularly?
Nah, I don't think any of them really would fit into tornado shot build. I think that's where my mind's set on. So
That's all you know. If you were playing
damn
TS,
it.
you weren't. So if you were playing TS, you weren't running Vengeance Cascade then, right?
nope, I didn't. Yeah, I didn't.
You didn't even get
Last
to
league.
engage with it. Wow,
Nope.
big sad.
You
Yeah.
could actually use one. There's one tech you could use. Listen
Yeah.
closely.
Mm-hmm.
There's this new blessing
Oh,
for minions.
yep.
The Guardian's Blessing.
Mm-hmm.
and apparently you can use. Wait, does it work on range? It might only work on melee, but you can use this relic, holy relic that summons when you attack.
Yeah.
Does it work on range? So you could use that and use that as a blessing target. Get a free blessing early on.
Yeah.
Potentially, depending on how that actually works exactly. We're gonna have to see the gem info.
Manni
just-
dropping
I'll take it.
minion tips as usual.
Holy relics when the owner attacks. Doesn't have to be melee, so just whenever you attack, it pops up. But it has a
Yeah.
real shit life pool, just to be clear.
Yeah, but it could be percentage drain, percentage based drain from that.
Oh, I don't even mean from the blessing. I just mean if it just hits a barrel, it's dead. Like it's so common that when I was playing Herald of Agony, I had to hook it up to a cast name was taken because it was dying so frequently. So it's just it's very weak. It's a weak boy. But if he's he's ass blasting tornado shot, he might be so far away. It's fine. It is a percentage, by the way, of the life. It's not a flat route. It's a percentage of max life. It's physical damage. So it could be good. Could be a thing. Who knows? Not Manni. He's typing in chat. Too busy.
Yep.
So that's the support gems. You guys no interest in playing Chieftain or Guardian, I assume, right?
I'll pass.
Or,
Pass.
Yep. Be that way.
Maybe I'll play it in Ruthless.
Yeah. Yeah.
Disgusting. Disgusting.
Isn't it funny how the Chieftain is not even like they rework every single ascendancy for Ruthless, but the Chieftain is almost untouched. They didn't have to do much
It's
there.
true. The Chieftain is so bad in its current state, it's not even worth nerfing in Ruthless. That is an unfortunate fact. Really just goes to see. I think on my build wheel I just had for Chieftain just reroll. Just don't bother. And then for Guardian I think I just had Absolution, which is what you would half the time are starting with anyway with Guardian. I have no idea if it'll be good. We don't know the number. They have these minions being summoned for Guardian, but we don't know what the hell they are, really.
Yeah.
So it's
I think the Guardian's rework was really successful from what I've heard when it comes to group play. So the group Andes are really excited about the Mana Guardian. The
sure.
Mana Guardian was extremely buffed compared to what it was. So it's a huge buff for that. But for the minion one, we don't know. We're actually playing the Ascendancy. Solo player.
Yeah, I don't get the they've got a real hard on for link skills. They're pushing link skills so hard, and their usage, viewing from PoE Ninja is so low, and they've removed all support, really, of channeled skills on the passive tree. There's more support for link skills in the passive tree than ever existed for channeled skills. But people use channeled skills constantly. It's so strange that they've really want to push this link meta, that they want you to play with friends. I guess is the idea.
The quality of life is so bad that you can't even use links properly. So it's
the meme is that links were introduced to kill people in hardcore, which was literally the case last league. So top memes. The boss kill event will be. Are you guys gonna participate in the boss kill event by chance?
Nah, I'm chilling.
I'll let Ben win his money.
I do and this is my tinfoil hat, but I maintain wearing it. Last league they obviously did the boss kill event in Ruthless, and they introduced a build that the top 10 people were using to do the boss kill event, and then they obviously nerfed it to oblivion this league, the explosion totem build. So I like the idea that they had to introduce a build for a one league period just to complete an event in Ruthless to say that it could be done, and then they went back down to not doing Ruthless. Which is
I was gonna say when they initially announced that, I was like, "There's no way any current builds could get that done."
And there wasn't.
Honestly, they could have.
If they kept going, I guess, yeah.
No, if the top players, if they all would have played Ruthless, but they didn't because they can't be bothered. But I'd say there would be $1 million on the line. People would have killed it. If they actually tried.
Fair.
Sure.
It was definitely possible, but it was extremely hard.
Yeah. It is funny, though. So, the actual patch notes. Is there anything that you want to talk about you guys would discuss about the patch notes specifically that we didn't go over yet?
Well, we can talk about the only balance change that I can remember. The nerf to temporal chains that we expected like 2 weeks ago. Now it's finally here with some delay.
Yep.
Poison a lot more balanced.
Yeah, I think it's due to the new support be introduced. I think the new support, the sadism, going to be very strong, so they need to nerf poison maybe.
Yeah.
And also Original Sin. I really think it was just Original Sin coming back to the main game, so we kind of need to address poison.
Yeah, that's kind of a good point. Also, impending Doom getting this huge buff with the Sanctum Jewel coming back.
Oh yeah, right.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, the self-cast
Just the builds that have a lot of curse effect skill, and like I think Doom, those were the ones that really abuse temp chains, right?
Yeah.
And they got hit really hard by this nerf today or yesterday.
Now you can farm out your own CDR temp chains meme. Could be tricky though. It was already kind of tricky, but at least the jewel's, a 30% chance of dropping, so it's like it shouldn't be. It'd be within reason.
Who knows if it's gonna be the
you're right.
same.
They could have balanced all of the drops.
Maybe the staff is not a common one.
The stuff, honestly, the staff should have been the common one because it's fucking shit compared to the jewel, realistically, and the helmet. I mean, honestly, all the items were better than the staff.
Yeah, it's weird.
But here we are. It is there's only one unique balance in the entire patch notes, and it basically doesn't exist. It's just they've slightly changed Alberon's warpath. So, whoopee. There you go.
I'm personally sad about the 5-way changes. I love cheesing even in SSF. My
didn't talk about Legion at all.
Well, it's this. I don't think this change affects Trade League really at all because it's not like you're not going to run 5-ways now. You're just going to run twice as many. That's about it. Like you're still gonna if you're anyone who wants to buy 5-way levels, I think you're still going to do it. You're just going to run more.
Yeah, it's still going to work. Just going to be a lot slow, which might mean it's going to be more costly, less people doing it, and I don't know, the market is going to change surely.
Does that mean they're going to be easier, or is it still same difficulty? Like, could you maybe do a 5-way earlier? Or...
No, the bottom's definitely harder because the min level's 80, and then there's more scaling for the enemy or the Legion enemies.
A 5-way should be easier, but it's 2 levels slower.
Right. Yeah. That's.
If that's what you're saying, yes.
Yes, that's
3-ways are way harder though.
Yeah,
I wonder if it's actually going to be useful.
That's what I meant. It was because there was typically, if I was looking for one specific timeless jewel, I would honestly run 2 or 3 ways, just kill the one boss I wanted, and just keep resetting. I had more luck doing that than doing like 5 ways for specific things. But now it's like you would never do that early on now because it's level 80. You're not gonna at that point you might as well just wait a little bit and then just do a 4-way or a 5-way. Like the incentive to do 2 or 3 is like non-existent.
Yeah, that might switch up the hardcore solo self-found like boss race or something, right? Because like I just remember watching those kind of like early races or whatever, where they're rushing Glorious Vanities or something, and you might have to wait a little bit longer. Yeah. Versus doing like 3 ways with like the red jewel or something. Maybe you have to wait a little bit longer. Maybe not. I don't know.
Time will tell.
I like that they're trying to make the unrelenting emblems relevant. They're actually going to. This is how you get actually big XP now and extra levels.
They changed Stasis Prism's drop rate or something. I mean, I want it to be bad. I want you to run 5 timeless unrelentings, but the reward for running that previously versus just running regular 5-ways or even 1 unrelenting was like basically the same.
I still can't believe when I started my Stasis journey, I thought that you needed to put all 5-ins. And again, it might be that, it gave me 5 times the chance, but yeah, like the first 8 or something I did was like all 5 emblems.
Oh yeah.
Crap.
Yeah, it's time consuming to do it. I'm on my 3rd level 100 now farming 5-ways just because I'm out of rangers. I gotta keep moving on to like really obscure classes. I think I'm doing a berserker now or an occultist. That's just the exact same build. You just swap on all the fucking wand gear and you just keep on keeping on. But
yeah,
it is very goofy. It is very, very goofy.
Bit of a Torment rework too.
Oh yeah, Delirium and Torment were also changed. Delirium was just nerfed unless I misread it. Number of kills required to gain rewards has been increased because of maps.
It's just mob balance really. Pretty much. It's not a nerf or a buff, it's just...
Yeah.
Legi, weren't you doing some, Torment memes last league?
Just a bit. I mean, I'm pretty happy with Torment's changes, being honest. Like, those Torment changes are kind of good. Like,
You
that's
think it's-
exactly what Torment needs.
You think even though they swapped the spots of Seance?
It's even better right now, what? Seance in the middle is insane. It's really good.
You like that over the Quant being on the left side? Like, you prefer Seance in the middle?
Yeah, usually you could skip the quant, like it's just 30 quant, and then now on Seance you get the all the possess, and then small nodes are also a quantity or something like that. So yeah, it's
I'm
a
curious
buff
what the
overall.
life scaling was like. Super crazy sounding, like 560% more life at 83 for the Ghost. So
Hopefully they don't die now, right?
that's the idea. Is that they're tanky. They have damage reduction, so they touch more things more aggressively, more quant, more loot, right? So
yeah. I think some people interpreted this as when they're gonna possess something, they're gonna buff their life by like 500, but surely that's not
shit!
gonna happen.
Imagine hits a rogue metamorph. You make a fucking pinnacle boss in a map.
There's no way, right?
No way. It just goes.
Fingers crossed. I would like to see that happen. Just give it a negative 50% movement speed modifier, and it's fine.
I want to see the world burn.
Yeah, just big hulking guy running around. It'd be kind of cool.
Imagine if they did a Mayhem League with that change too, and then there's the 10 ghosts
sure.
in one boss room.
Would be interesting. The Atlas changes. They did a bunch of Beyond touch-ups also. There's new nodes you could specifically target the different bosses, which is interesting. And they made it so the different followers have different benefits to them, like dropping more div cards for the one, currency for the other, and uniques for the third one. So maybe some specific Beyond shenanigans occurring there.
But it's going to be stronger for magic finding again. Also because of the keystone too, where you don't accidentally spawn the boss early and remove the Beyond from the map. But the Beyond section, I think, is going to be a staple for most magic finding strats. Either unique magic finding or div card magic finding. Either way, you're going to choose a different, keystone or notable up there on that new Beyond cluster. Either div cards or uniques, but it's going to be good for those strats for sure. Beyond meta is kind of back, I guess, even though it's not old Beyond anymore.
Old, new, Beyond. Old, new. Do you guys have any starters in mind?
Only one.
What is
Only
that
one? We are one person.
Same one as Legi. He can explain.
Oh, that's money.
Oh.
Easy, are you starting Lightning Arrow? That's the question.
I'm starting Tornado Shot. I'm just brute force it.
I mean, I guess the same build.
A reason you're starting Lightning Arrow just because of the Vengeance Cascade support, or is it what specifically?
It's just a strong starter. Like bow builds are fun to play. They're really fast. The damage is, even with Vengeance Cascade being gone, basically half the damage of Crucible is still more than enough to progress the Atlas and kill the basic bosses and unlock everything.
It's good Val skill too. I like Val Lightning Arrow. It's fun. It's a fun little addition.
I never liked it, but
Ice
Shot is awesome though.
I like Ice Shot better. Ice Shot is pretty crazy though.
But yeah, I think our rationale behind starting, Ranger bow build, because as mine said, it's like good enough to kill all the bosses that you need to kill early on, and then it scales to being, your endgame build. So you league starting, literally your endgame character from the day one, and it's good enough, and it's fun. It's fast.
How do you handle the
the
single target for like your initial startup content, like doing like the Feared or something like that?
I mean, you don't have to do it early on.
Initial startup content defeated. What game are you playing, sir?
What do you mean? I try to have all that stuff done like within 10 days.
I mean, 10
it's
days
not a problem, really.
Yeah.
10 days.
Yeah.
Is a lot of time,
Yeah.
Like you found like 4 Omnis in that time.
What?
I mean, you're gonna have good RNG again, right? It alternates for you, doesn't it?
I mean, it's my birthday league again. So in my last birthday league, I got the Omni on, on my quest kill. So it has to be like that, right?
It's gonna be your birthday. What are you, like 14 years old now?
I wish that there is a 4 there, but not the one in front of it.
44. Understood. All the
Okay.
4s. Okay, well. So Easy, you're starting Tornado Shot. Legi and Manni, you guys are copying each other's builds. Both playing
Always.
forever.
Yeah, there isn't too much new stuff,
do
right?
know.
It's mostly just the same status as the last couple leagues.
I don't understand. Chris Wilson told me there'd be a big meta balance shakeup. And now you're all playing the
It could
same
be.
builds.
Honestly, there could be new starters, but they're not going to be figured out before the league because we don't even know much about the GM set and everything.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, if Tornado Shot worked more or less perfectly fine last league before you ever got into a Crucible tree and before it doesn't use Vengeance Cascade, then it's basically the same. So, yeah, to get to that point should be perfectly fine.
Yeah, we are recruiting the acolytes of the Spinebow Church
Yeah.
going today.
Church of the Spine Bow.
2023 is the year of the bow.
Yeah, I think this has been the decade of the bow. To be fair, bows have been good for like 2-3 years now. It feels like.
Not this
Oh,
good though.
So when you go throw your darts or
I'm shooting an arrow, and actually,
when you go to shoot your arrow, make sure you like a 75% of the pie chart is some bow build, and then you know your other regular options fill up the other quarter of the pie
I
chart.
think there's only Omni TS on Deadeye is the only bow build I have on the wheel. Yep, that's it. Just Omni TS. So if I hit anything,
You better be accurate
Yeah.
as a Deadeye.
Yep.
Pretty good shot. I don't know if I'm that good. We'll see. I'd prefer not to play a Deadeye though, because I feel like I played a Deadeye for every league at some point for the past 3 years. It feels like it's Deadeye to me feels like not that I mean it's obviously very thematic for bows, but it always feels like it's so boringly strong. Like it's just like playing a bell build, gonna play a Deadeye because fucking why not? You know, it has everything you want always forever. So I don't know. There's some joy and maybe some struggle elsewhere. Deadeye is very good though.
Yeah.
Does all the
I feel the
things you
struggle.
want.
I want to struggle as well. I'm gonna roll more into this one bow character this league for sure. I'll try out some other stuff. I promised myself.
Chieftain Burning Arrow, right?
Oh boy.
For example, yeah.
Hey, there's that breach bow is pretty cool for burning arrow legally, I guess. If you really want to delve into the struggle.
I mean, there's like one new archetype that seemed to be pushing this league, and it was melee ignite, wasn't it? A couple gems, a couple new atlas or passive
who
traits.
knows?
I mean, not atlas, passive.
There's on the listing it says there's 15 new uniques, and then the 16th is the Crucible boss kill event, right? So we have 10 from the league, then there's 5 new uniques that aren't from the league, and then there's the 1 boss kill unique. We have no idea what those are. I don't, the odds of them being Mage Blood, Squire, whatever strength is probably low, but maybe there's some super strong, weird, unique you could build.
I mean, there's still 1 week to go. They could still drop some leaks, give us
they could drop the nut.
a Mage Blood like unique, yeah.
Yeah.
I did think it's. I mean, again, just kind of interesting. There's only 2 new div cards this league. I mean, I feel like
That's
every other
strange.
league. Yeah,
Well,
there's like 10
I
plus.
think they stopped the program as of like 2 leagues ago. So this made this because there's the support design ones they don't do that anymore, right? So then this could be the ones that were just straggling behind or they took too long or there should be no more div cards designed by supporters ever, really, unless there's unclaimed ones out there because they don't do the program anymore. So I imagine there's less and less over time.
Honestly, I'm quite happy about that. Like, we have so many div cards, and like, I don't think it's very healthy to every league add like 10 different new div cards. I mean, it's kind of fun sometimes, but like, it's a bit too much. Like, if we drop like 2 every league, it's kind of fun.
Yeah, I kind of still feel like div cards probably shouldn't exist. I think they're a massive like balance band-aid in a way, because it's like it's really hard.
Wait until next year. No cards in PoE 2.
Who knows, right?
Now.
Yeah, as of now. Well, PoE 2 it was PoE 1 as of a month ago. Who knows, man? It could be everything could just be a card game. It could be no PoE 2. It could all be a card game. You have to have Easy go fight Chris Wilson for a mirror.
They're not doing a new course set this coming up patch, are they? Or
For what do you mean?
where I'm actually going with that? How long do y'all think these Voidborn keys will be in the game? I was thinking that they
It has to
leave
be.
soon.
It has to be forever, right?
forever. Yeah.
Think so?
It has to be. I mean,
Yeah.
otherwise you just fucking scammed 3,000 people. Kind of
Well.
like they have to be there for perpetuity. But the odds of us receiving them are now skewed based off of the amount of submissions amongst the tiers. So that the initial Voidborns were dropping like left and right because there was no big items in it. But as of the most recent introduction, there's like 10 different Mage Bloods and Headhunters and whatnot. So they just don't drop very frequently anymore. So I think it's kind of a resolving problem in a way.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think we talked about the last one, but it was just I don't know. I think we talked about it last time, but just like the fact that the first 3 or 4 Mage Bloods on trade site were foil, it's like
Yeah, I think that the Reliquary keys to me seem a lot more innocuous than divination cards because although the first couple of Mage Bloods were foil, last league 70% of Headhunters came from div cards based off of eye levels versus drops. So that's, to me, also, you're then having to balance two-pronged, right? Because you have the balance of the drop rate of a Headhunter, which is its own subsection, and then you have the balance of the drop rate of all the Headhunter cards, which all have different drop values because they're different quantities to make a Headhunter. So then you have to balance just generic quantity to not overburden the system with all those cards dropping. So it's like so much more layers of drop balance, I feel like, to do the whole div card thing when you could just abolish div cards and then just make Headhunters have one line of drop, like 8 drops. Plus, also, like, I think the feeling of acquiring a tier 1 unique, something like or tier 0 unique, like a Headhunter, is so strong when it drops. Like you basically just nut. That made your day, made your week, right? But slowly over the course of a month, cobbling together a Headhunter with div cards just simply isn't as exciting. So in a way, it's kind of like a little bit anticlimactic, I feel like. So I feel like we should probably just get rid of div cards altogether, realistically. I think they exist for,
I think
for Trade League. I don't know.
it's really subjective, to be honest. Like I
Nope,
really
you're
like
wrong.
working
You're wrong.
towards
I'm right.
incrementally.
It's one of those things where they can't take it away now, right? It's out of the box.
Well,
But that's what PoE2 is for.
that's
Maybe they kinda-
like that's exactly what we were talking about. It's too big to remove. It's too interwoven with the fabric of the game. So now we're just gonna, which in a way, I wish, now that we know that that's the case, right? I kind of wish they would lean into it then and like embrace the chaos a little bit and like let's get crazier things in Path 1 because Path 2 is going to be the tamer game if that's the case.
I do hope there's going to be some like legacy kind of league, some just go crazy in PoE1.
Legacy could just be the baseline. I mean, I don't know why we're not getting more juice. Like you see a Path, like especially the fact that we know now Path 2 is going to be the slow trudge.
Yeah,
and
it's kinda
this is
true.
not going to be like, we should have some nitro injection in like this league should have been like super charged because it's like, well, if you want to go fast, there's Path 1. You want to go slow as Path 2. Like if we can embrace that, maybe.
That is pretty true.
I agree, Manny. I am right, and you're right. Like
I mean, they kept saying how this whole like vision meme, right, going towards PoE2, making this game, bringing it towards the direction of PoE2, but we don't need that anymore technically now.
Correct.
The argument is gone.
Yep. We'll see. Time will tell. All we can do is complain and poop our pants. That's it. We want to do any Q&A questions and then wrap up, or do you guys have anything else you want to talk about specifically before we get to that?
There's one thing about patch notes that I'm so happy about.
Okay.
That's like the funniest 1% of 1% of 1% elitist take that you can hear.
Yep.
I'm really happy there is a bug fix that says that if you use the invisible flask effect on a silver flask, it actually hides it properly. So there's no this like a little swirly around you. So it's actually hiding it properly. So only relevant to the the mage blood users pretty much.
Oh.
If you want to like hide all the flasks.
You're saying if you wait, I always have silver flask of mage blood. What are you talking about? I don't understand.
Yes, but if you use the MTX that hides it, so it's like you don't have the effect of flask active.
Yeah.
It hides it properly now instead of like this.
Oh, so I can not
halfway there.
swirl in town now. I could be in town and not be swirling.
Exactly.
That's funny because
That's very impactful.
when I do my intros for Alfred episodes, I have to take off my mage blood because it's obscuring my character's view when I'm taking my thumbnail pictures. So now I can no longer have to do that. That is a very 1%.
It's a buff.
It's a buff. I feel buffed. I'm so buffed right now. Wait, hold on. Fixed a rare case of Duresso's dream having a arena that was a dead end. That was occurring. Sometimes you look at bugs and you just were like, who got fucked by this at some point? You know, who just kept running Duresso's fighting?
There were some really fucking funny bugs. Like there was a bug that when you use I think dominating blow, that the domination sentinels could only slam 4 times. Could slam more.
That was it. Just 4 slams.
Or the racing thingy. Like everyone used the weapon swap axe and sword meme to race, and then
there's
apparently it was only using the main hand, right?
The bug that says fixed a bug where weeds in the Exilecon hideout interacted poorly with the map device microtransaction. The weeds have been pulled. This is a sentence.
The game is saved.
Well, I'm glad I can still have fun. All right, let's do some Q&As to wrap it up. We got a couple questions. I'll post one more time in Twitch chat. Here's the Twitter post we're just pulling the questions from. Feel free to ask them there as I go down. I'll refresh at the end so you have some context. Not all these questions will probably be half cooked, most of them, so be warned. Okay.
Well, so good this time.
Well, who knows if they're... We'll see. Do you think that GGG seemingly distancing itself from the general community, meaning the forums, Reddit, interviews, is just a temporary thing or a strategic decision? What are your expectations for the next CM? Anybody?
I think it's strategic.
Sure.
Because, during leagues like, what are the big Backlash leagues, Expedition, mostly, right? Their communication didn't go well. And I think they're better off just stepping back, not promising too much.
Yeah.
On the other hand, we're definitely in the B team era right now, where 90% of their efforts are focused on PoE2, it seems. And PoE1 is running on maintenance mode, more or less. So it could just be that too, just a lack of even effort or resources, really.
There was a I saw on Reddit that Al Kaiser was talking about giving his thoughts on patch notes, and basically in summation he said, and I quote, "They don't give a fuck, they're just working on PoE2," which I think probably is the case.
Unfortunately, I think that's the reality of the situation right now. Like
they got their mind
we
on
are
one
in
thing.
B team hell, and everyone's working on PoE2
Bench boys.
for now, at least.
Yeah.
I mean, the Doomer take is that it's going to stay that way for another year or two, right? Until we're in PoE2.
Well, I think the
definitely
Doomer
looks like
take
they have tons of work to do.
Stay the way forever. That would be the real Doomer take, because I don't think they could really simultaneously run 2 games of full quality live service. But I hope they prove me wrong. But that would be the real Doomer take,
Yeah, I think that it's going to be a Doomer take.
The real question is, which game dies, Path 1 or Path 2? The answer is both of them, and then mobile prevails. So it's a third game that isn't either game.
Wait, what? PoE what?
Mobile.
Honestly,
lag.
Do you guys think PoE would live? Like, if they never do a patch again, just every 3 months they reset the ladder, like a fresh league?
That's so.
How long do you think the game would
basically, live? I thought in my genius mind, I was like, what would be the best thing for Path 1 is if every month they reset the league, basically. So a month-long leagues, and then just every single skill that was not, underperforming, as in the bottom 5%, not tracked on like PoE Ninja, just double its damage. And every month reset the game. And I think it would be totally fine, basically, for perpetuity. Like
I'm okay with that, as long as we get to pick the league we want to play. So just
it's all of them at once. It's mayhem, baby.
No, just like the patch, I just go back to OG Harvest, and then that's the league I just.
Oh, you want to post date into patch, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Could be.
We have Reddit in a call right now.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
But I don't think that would work. The usual, Lighty wrong, me right.
Wow. Off the ledge I go.
The biggest thing is going to be, I mean, I would imagine, or one of the big factors is going to be like server costs and stuff too, right? I mean, they got to, that's, they're doubling their computing, budget for each
Everything's
of these
doubled.
games.
That yeah, it's a big question. How could they
So,
run
yeah.
two games at once?
The thing is, like the MTX are shared between two games, right? So if they actually support PoE1 and people buy MTX and PoE1, they can use them in PoE2, right? So it's kind of that's how they're gonna
It's
probably finance it.
It's funny
right?
you mentioned that. Like if they somehow had a system split where I could buy a supporter pack and know the money didn't go to Path 2, I probably would do that. Like I would only want to support one of the two games. Like if we had like a vote with our wallet situation where it's like you could buy the MTX for Path 1, Path 2, or both. I'd be like, I'd like it for Path 1, meaning I don't support Path 2. Please bring back Path 1 full time. But as long as they keep getting money, they'll keep doing stuff. If they double their income, hopefully they double their size, double their servers. That's fine. It just breeds the question that what's the end game of the splitting gameplay? There's if 10 years there's a Path 3, we have 3 games active. Are they gonna phase out Path 1 then?
I really wish in Exilecon there was like some Q&A about that part.
Like a
Is there
roadmap.
going to be a 4.0, right?
Yeah.
Or what is the plan with PoE1, right? Just
Yeah.
ask that question. Nobody did. Or at least they avoided it if it was asked. I don't remember. But we didn't get any answers in that regard.
Yeah, I would love to see a roadmap, like a really, especially because we know all the shit that was planned for Path 1 is now not going to happen. Like, give me like a 5-year time, like even it could be loose. Like when Kevin Feige does the ones at like Comic-Con with the Marvel timeline things. Like I want to see just like that. Like, all right, over the next year, we're going to integrate our plans for Path 2 into Path 1, and then the next year we're going to hit 3.0 and or 4.0 and like plan to do that. Like something that like a very large scope roadmap, just so. But I think the reason they're not doing it is kind of what this guy was asking on Twitter. It's like that's the level of accountability they don't want to necessarily put upon
Exactly.
themselves
They
right
don't
now.
even know what they're going to do
exactly.
next year.
Yeah.
It seems like it's just everything's fly by night. So yeah, I don't know. It really does seem like they're just audibling constantly with Path 1 and just trying to work on Path 2. It could be chaos behind the scenes over there. It could be everything's on fire. Who knows? I am curious. The next question was the same guy. It's a similar question, which how should they proceed to regain the trust of the regulars? I think regulars are going to play no matter what, so it's kind of a moot point. And then, and do they plan on tapping into the delusioned D4 fans? I mean, people who played Diablo 4, if they want to come play Path, I'm sure they'll have a good time, or it's be too daunting.
Honestly, that's PoE2's main objective, isn't it? Like it's a
Sure.
ARPG that's modern enough for 2023, and it looks good. It's gonna feel like smooth to play with the space bar thing and like the melee movement. That's exactly what they want to do.
I think a bit of a problem with that plan, though, is like they're making a 2022 ARPG, showcasing in 2023. It's not coming out till 2025. So it's like, they're making this game, if you want to take players off of Diablo, but like in 2 years, if Path 2 comes out, then you'll have the D4 expansion, probably. So it's like, I feel like their timeline is just so behind what they're trying to accomplish. Like they're chasing trends that are existing now,
the
but
scope is just insane, right?
the release schedule
Yeah.
cannot keep up with their intentions currently, at least. So
Yeah.
that would be great if it came
think
out
they're really-
tomorrow, but
I think they really overestimated what is required to build a game like PoE2, and all their like ambition and scope, as Manni is saying, is like I really think they overestimate their strengths, and they are suffering because of that really heavily right now.
I'm
The
curious.
thing is, they're just making PoE, like not just making a new game, but they're also integrating probably like 20 league mechanics or something from PoE1, and all of the classes from PoE1, and all the MTX needs to be like ported over and shit, right? Like
I don't think half that shit's gonna make it in, to be honest. I don't think half of it's gonna come in. I think they're gonna. I mean, if they don't prioritize like trimming the fat crazily,
like league mechanic wise.
yeah, I think they're gonna try because
Yeah,
otherwise
they're
it's
definitely
never
gonna
gonna
trim
get done.
some, yeah.
I think they're gonna like trim it with a chainsaw. Like I think just because of release, like if it's ever hoping to get out, I feel like they're just like treading water release wise. I don't know.
I mean, it would be totally fine to release the game without much of an end game, honestly, because all of these new classes and everything is already there. And then
Sure.
just release end game, like they could port in Legion and whatever a league or two later, right? Like a year later, maybe even.
Sure.
Kind of like Diablo 4 rush out its game more or less, and then we're gonna have some expansion next year or something that probably fixes a lot of things.
Yeah, and then not for that, but the Diablo 4 campaign was like super fun to play, and the cutscenes were like the best I've ever seen in a video game ever. So that I don't like regret that experience, but I'm obviously not playing right now. But like they've already got the money, so they won that. They did it. They did the thing.
Yeah.
And I didn't play League, so it wasn't interesting to me. But I would definitely check out a future League if that's kind of the format of their goal. They could easily pull that off. Another question was, what support gems pique your interest? We went over that. What builds do you think they could be useful in? That one we kind of didn't answer as much. Of the list
I
of
did.
support. Oh, okay, fine. Manny said fuck you to that random person.
Well, you
No
guys
answer.
didn't. I already said sadism support is going to be great for some Ignite builds that hit fast enough to reapply it fast enough, Armor brand or builds
There's
with
some-
curses for defiled
There's
forces.
some goofy ones like the more minimum damage, less maximum damage thing, volatility
Or
or whatever.
lead
some
builds,
vice versa.
right?
Yeah, that could be interesting.
Slavos coil support.
Yeah, basically. That one seems kind of cool. Trauma, I think, is really strong for any fast hitting, attack build that could sustain it. It seems like if it's similar to how like the Delve Bone Shatter builds work, it could be super super strong if you can maintain it.
It's just really hard to even talk about those things when we just
No
have
numbers.
and
Yeah.
and some supports are all about the numbers, so it's just like moot
Yeah.
points all over it again, right?
But yeah, that's the TLDR. Wait for numbers. We had a question in chat. I'm not gonna make you type it on Twitter. Don't worry. If PoE is the Souls-like ARPG of the 2020s, where is the hyper ARPG that existed pre 315? The kind of the go fast elite thing. That's kind of what we were talking about earlier, which is like, well, ideally, PoE 1 will be that, but the kind of problem with that is like the antithesis, seemingly, of what Chris Wilson enjoys and wants, and he is in charge of Path 1 and not Path 2. I kind of don't understand why he didn't take over Path 2 in a weird way, because it seems to be way more in line with what he enjoys playing. But we need like a Zoomer dev to be in charge of Path 1 now, because I don't know if we're really going to get that vibe as much as we hoped. Maybe comparatively to Path 2, but not like to the good old days of, where we're duplicating 100% Delirious maps with Headhunter.
To be honest, I don't even know. We don't know yet if PoE 2 isn't that. Like, we know it's not during like story, but I don't know how
Sure.
the end game is going to feel.
If it's just similar to Path 1, kind of what's the point? A little bit.
Oh,
I mean, it's
I don't
new
know.
systems, new crafting, new gear. I mean, new possibilities.
New year, new me.
classes.
Yeah.
But the speed can still be dialed to like let's say 8, and it's still gonna be
Sure.
really freaking zoomy, right?
Let's bring that to 11. Thank you. I'm feeling a decent to strong 11 on my Zoom meter. What's the question? What's the theory behind so few balance changes? I think Alec answered that one. Just get fucked, Path 2. Lol.
Yeah.
It's on
Medium.
maintenance. It's running on
yeah.
fumes. It has been for like at least a year or maybe 2.
Yep. When are they bringing back nets? That's a valid question. When do the nets come back?
Well, we just got a
PoE2,
rework of
when you have
Prophecy
to
Lake.
drink from the well, right?
It's true. Yeah, Prophecy rework in the form of
So Bestiary rework is coming up soon.
around the corner. Another question is, let me just hit refresh because there could be new ones, and there isn't. Now that this is the question. Well, this is the question you just asked in chat. No, it's not. Now that PoE 1 and PoE 2 are separate games, and the obvious shift of more resources to Ruthless, how much time do you think PoE has until they fully bridge the gap and just make PoE Ruthless core and PoE 2 their main game? In my head, it's the easiest outcome to have to have.
It's a
just drop
troll,
PoE 1.
right?
Yeah.
I'm
If
sure
this
it's a real
guy actually
question.
thinks there's a shift of resources to Ruthless, he's completely clueless.
I don't,
Literally,
I don't think it's a shift of resources, but I think there's without question an amount of resources being used, which I think is more resources than they said were being used. So I don't think that the
Is it
vast
though?
majority.
Like, have you ever seen it? But it's a lot of text, so it looks like there's a lot of changes to
Well,
Ruthless.
I'll tell you
but
what.
most of them were actually ready last league already. They just delayed them. Like they even said it was already done last league ages ago.
Yeah,
And most of them, they're not very hard to do. They're just a couple numbers changes.
But that's the point, though. I think you just nailed it, right? You just said it out loud. It's just a couple of number changes. It's not very hard to do. That same ideology should be applying to the main game before. It's
true.
It's a priority issue, right? So you could have that. You could have that same thing. Yeah, they just briefly looked over every ascendancy, every skill. Tweaked numbers 5% here, 5% there. Why has that not happened for the main game? The issue is not that Ruthless exists. The issue is that they're redirecting their energy to Ruthless when that same exact process would be monumental to the base game. And for a balance perspective, right, you have something like, I look at patch notes, right? We're talking about patch, obviously, we're not even talking about the quantity of changes, but any resource spent on Ruthless should be prioritized for Path 1 because that is the priority. The priority is the main game. That's what they always said would be the priority. Ruthless was the side project. When I go to the unique balance section of these patch notes, there is one unique that is being balanced barely. In my mind, not every unique in Path is balanced. Would you agree with that?
For sure.
Okay, so there's work to be done, and they're not doing it. And they're choosing to spend an amount of time on Ruthless over this. Any amount of time on Ruthless that should be spent on this should be spent before Ruthless.
It's just such a tiny amount of time, though. Like,
if it's that simple to do, it's like taking out the trash or making your bed, all right? If it's that simple, they could be doing it for the main game.
I think they have higher standards for Ascendancy reworks in normal game than Ruthless, though. This Ruthless stuff, this is like...
I don't think that's the case because...
One guy drawing up a couple new Ascendancies.
Yeah, but Cleave 2 Radius, they don't have higher standards. We've seen what they could do. We've seen what they have done. They could do that same ideology for 1,000 things. They could double the damage that Glacial Hammer had. And it wouldn't affect anything. They're just not putting the work in. The fact of the matter.
True.
It's so. I don't think Ruthless is taking over Path 1.
It's triggering me. I don't know. It's like
what?
Ruthless is still so small. They made a huge fuck up putting so
Yeah.
many lines into the patch notes because
Sure.
it's just gonna give
I don't blame
illusions
Ruthless.
to people.
I blame management. That's who I blame. This is an
Yeah.
issue of you're not managing your departments properly and not prioritizing your energy where it should be prioritized. If, like you just said, Ruthless is so small, it shouldn't be receiving attention over the main game when there's still issues with the main game. To me, that's just as clear as day. So, Ruthless is fine. It existing isn't the issue. It being prioritized, it receiving any amount of energy or balance over Path 1, that is the issue.
I think I agree with Manni when it comes to standards, what kind of product they want to put out. So if they want to do something for the main game, they want to actually invest a lot of resources, so it's meaningful change instead of 5% there, 10% there.
Yeah.
I think that's what they are thinking. But I also agree with you that they should do at least some of it. There is definitely a middle ground, but I can agree that the management could do much better, but I wouldn't demonize Ruthless as this, resource sink. So I think that the truth lies in the middle as always, but still, it kind of sucks that we don't have any small changes to the main game. Little tweaks.
Little tweaker.
I mean, it used to take you a long time to get you could always go back even a couple hours after patch notes come out and find some little minute thing or something, right? Yeah, it is kind of crazy that this is one of the first leagues where they're. I don't want to say that there's nothing, but there's basically no real changes.
Yeah, I mean there's tons. The keystones are substantial, obvious. The support gems will be substantial, but
character progression.
Yeah, new stuff existing isn't the issue. It's just, I don't see. It's and this isn't how it works, but I don't see 4 months of work in front of me when I look at this for the main game. I don't see 4 months of testing and balancing and figuring out how to make the core game better and to bring what is the bottom 10% up a little bit. There just isn't balance being done. That's the very definition of balance, of you taking the things that are being basically unused and bringing them up a little bit. That to me just isn't occurring too much.
Not that it's an excuse, but I would say if any league, probably the league leading up to
they have.
Exilecon.
Well, they have every excuse. That's the thing. I mean, they have the ultimate excuse until Path 2 comes out. It's
Well,
they-
I'm just
they
saying,
got,
like, I mean,
carte blanche.
Exilecon probably took a lot of time and resources
I'm sure.
aside from Ruthless, aside from the main game, aside from PoE2, just getting that event ready probably
Sure.
took all hands on deck. But again,
I'm
still no
sure it does.
excuse for literally no number changes really to anything that we're kind of seeing out of the patch notes.
Someone on Reddit had this. Let me try to find this exact thing. I don't want to missay something. Someone had this quote where they were saying roughly like, I don't care if it takes them 80 hours or 800 hours. Like, as far as like, I'm the person, as they're the person putting out the product. I'm the person receiving the product. Like for me, it's like kind of a moot point. Once if I'm told there's gonna be substantial balance changes and there isn't, it's like that's just makes me sad.
Did he actually say that? I didn't even catch that, but that's really bad if he said that.
Oh, I have let me get the exact quote for you. Regarding Chris, it was, talk amongst yourselves, I'll find it. So the two quotes were, there will be a lot of balance changes next league. That was the one quote from Chris Wilson in the Polish interview. And the other one was, the second quote's kind of strange because it's like contextual, but it says, don't plan anything after Exilecon. You don't want to miss the next league. That was the quote. But you could say that any time and it would always be the case. He's also saying it at Exilecon to people. Like he was telling people to leave right after Exilecon to not miss the league. Like don't hang out. Like,
that really baited me. I remember reading that months ago and I thought it's going to be some kind of like end game expansion or some huge patch or something.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah.
I definitely thought it was like a core expansion change shift. Or they were just gonna blow all of our minds and PoE2 is ready or something.
I mean, honestly, the way it looks like to me is that they probably had plans like that, but then they realized, PoE2 is not coming out before 2030 at this rate. We need to go like 99% PoE2.
Yeah. Could be.
It's unfortunate that PoE1 is like left in the dust a bit, but that's what it is.
And to clarify, it's only that this only applies to people who have experienced the game heavily, right? So like if are just getting into Path or are not super deep into Path, you have years to still enjoy it. Like for us, it's like a bit of a extenuating circumstance because it's like we've got our dick deep inside the Path train, but it's not
like 10,000 of hours in,
10,000 inches in, yeah. Deep in the Path train. I even read it, but it just says the patch notes ruined my life. That's good.
What patch notes?
Yeah.
Greetings, PoE Reddit. I'm the guy who left his job and family and skipped town for 3.22. These patch notes absolutely destroyed me. I called my wife and begged her to take me back home. She declined. She told me that she already was back with her ex and he's also a D4 main. When I read the patch notes, my soul left my body. I immediately knew that I made a huge mistake. I'm currently back in my mom's attic staring blankly at these patch notes and my mind is still in shock. Don't make this mistake, Exiles. Don't be me. Good. Very good. Yeah, Reddit is a real shithole right now. It's like it's as expected, but there is no middle ground seemingly whatsoever on Reddit.
So
and there often isn't, but it is like two camps going at war.
I really want to emphasize what you said, Lighty. Like, if you are not like a insane, no live at PoE, there's so much to do in this game. So like, even if things are not balanced, like every patch, the bad skills are not made good. There's still so many skills to try, so many play styles, so many like different approaches to the game. Even different modes if you like, as Sev or even trade, right? So don't get discouraged by that. Like people being negative. Still try the game.
Just play Lightning Arrow.
Or just, play bow for 17,000 times and
just play bow.
Be happy, like us.
Yeah. So happy.
Be bow boy. Yep. Any other thoughts, hopes, dreams, comments you'd like to add before we call it here? Almost 3 hours. Get fucked, man.
My main hope is that PO1 won't be left in the dust. That's my main hope and dream. Please just don't leave this game to die.
I was thinking more like just for league launch, but that's
whatever. It's the same thing. Okay, don't nerf Lightning Arrow. Same thing.
Yep. Easy.
Pray for a
Yeah.
smooth start.
Yeah, yeah, my hopes and dreams. Again, hyper niche, but yeah, I just hope that there's no, staff of sanctum. Relatively, I hope that none of these uniques are just like super hard. Like I hope, like everyone wants to maybe do like a 40-40 quick. Like I kind of want to hit those 10, trial of a ancestor uniques
Yeah.
fairly quick, and hopefully don't get stun locked on Haku's.
Especially because like it's fun to use them. I try to get that Sanctum staff, not because I want to put it in my collection, because I was ready to use it, and it's like that's the most annoying part.
Yeah, so hopefully no crazy. Yeah, my hopes and dreams is nothing's too heavily RNG gated. That
Yeah, I thought the Crucible ones are pretty good, except like accessibility wise. I think you saw unique. I think you saw unique a day almost if you were like cranking Crucibles. That's fine to me if that's the case. It could be rare. I guess
There's
same
a question
thing.
in chat, by the way. Will SSF exist in PoE 2?
Early.
Oh, well,
It will.
that's
They confirmed it.
You don't have to answer him. He's a shithead.
Early.
Well, actually,
They
to be
did
fair,
confirm it, yeah.
yeah, it will. He actually asked a better question early on, which is, where is it? If ask the boys which passive keystone they would like to have IRL, so you can have a passive keystone in real life.
Oh shit.
Yeah, it's a good question. He asked us, I think, for about a year in a row now, so I'll finally give him.
Definitely not the. Oh wait, it's the passive skill tree, not the Atlas one.
Oh, you're right. He said, that's right, Keystone. There was Beef was one of them. That was an option.
That's a hard question, man.
I don't know. Versatile combatant. If we're just personifying the name, sounds good to make you like the ultimate MMA fighter. That's a good one. Arrow dancing. That would just be strange.
I'll go call to arms. I could instantly war cry. I want to see how that even feels to instantly war cry.
Oh, what about Supreme Ego? You could be the Giga Chad. The ultimate
That's
Chad.
already built in, dude.
It's true.
Spawned with that one.
Spawn camping. Iron Grip. Oh, man.
No, not that one.
Oh, I think we're missing the obvious one
Iron
here.
Grip is gonna hurt, man.
Dude, Eternal Youth is a keystone.
Oh,
Like it could be 14 forever.
Well, I'm literally cutting my beard tomorrow, so I'm gonna be 14 forever.
Oh man, good luck trimming that one hair.
Yep,
Oh,
that's the one. Definitely Eternal Youth. Please.
Yep.
please God, please God, give.
Divine
Well,
Shield
I don't want to
doesn't
end up
sound
like
bad
Lighty without hair everywhere.
Well, you should see my
Least on the
balls.
Chaos inoculations.
It's good. Pain attunement might make you not feel pain anymore. Very good. Ghost dance, make you break dance like a crazy person. Great question. Any other questions in chat before we get into? I think that's basically it. What's the untested secret starter build? Chieftain.
Yep.
Burning Arrow.
I'm
Burning
actually
Arrow
gonna
Chieftain.
play Chieftain Burning Arrow in this league.
Don't do that to yourself.
It's Chieftain Reap Ignite because they are
man.
pushing the Ignite skills.
Let's not say we did. Okay, that's it. This feels good. Good stop time. If you want to find any of these boys, Manny, you could find stream. Me, you could find stream YouTube. Legi, you could find stream. Easy, can't find.
Find me in the basement somewhere.
You can catch him
We
outside. How about
Exile
that?
free.
Just look
Yeah,
on
yeah.
PO Ninja for tornado shot.
You know,
Yep.
whenever you feel that tingle in the back of your head when like someone's following you, that's easy. Yeah,
There you go.
that's him. All right, we're free. Stopping stream. Thanks, boys. We'll talk to you soon. We'll try to do one of these, I guess, maybe a week or two after league launch to give ourselves a good basis of what's happening. This will be out on YouTube at some point in the next 6 to 7 hours, whenever it renders. And that's it.
Sweet.
Be free. Bye.
Yep. Best of luck league start, guys.
Same.
beans.
Good luck with the stuff, guys.
Mwah.
Yeah.
That
Yes,
stuff. Oh my fucking.
Staph infection. I hung up on them. Can't be stopped.